And that's when the Cum Lords of Valhalla came down and cut off the dicks of all the religious activists.
Welcome to the Swine Brothers Show 167 for the 26th of February, 2019. 2 episodes in one day. We're on a roll here. You
Maybe.
can you can get in contact with us at Cosmicgodsdie at gmail.com. Facebook is Swine Brothers, and Twitter SwineBro666. I am your host, Elliot, the, what was it, the racist blind kid, or no, sorry, ableist blind kid.
Ableist, yeah. You're definitely
Ableist,
so ableist. Come
the
on, walk
ableist.
into the light. Which way is the light? I can't see the light. Good. Just keep walking.
And my co-host, Count Jim, the vampire thing.
Yes, I am the Jim, and I'm just currently reveling in the fact that a cigar was used as a sex toy.
Not the weirdest thing I've heard, by the way.
Oh, no, this is old school, man. We're talking 90s shit, man. Come on. That was reason enough for impeachment. God.
Yeah,
But they
right.
didn't remove. They didn't follow up with the vote to remove. All because, well, we all know who was wearing the pants in that family.
The the best part is Newt Gingrich, who was trying to authorize the impeachment, was banging his secretary the whole time.
Oh,
That
hell
is
yeah. As always.
that is some political.
Yeah,
But
you always gotta get them fucking little interns, little TNA and shit, you know. Yeah.
sorry about the barking. My dachshund is being a dachshund, which means she barks a lot.
All right. Just some nice shout out for love here. We got the earshot ratings for the most requested songs and shit, the best albums and stuff that is being played on radio stations up in Canada worth. And guess who was number one January 29th, 2019?
Who is number one, Jim?
Ye goat herd gods, ashes shall be made of them.
That is fucking awesome. It is a fantastic album. It's melodic enough so that it doesn't, it's not Iljon or Archgoat, you don't have to have, ears of steel, but it's brutal in its own way.
Some more love here, because guess which spot they were on Tuesday, February 5th?
Which spot, Jim?
Number one.
Yeah, they've been number one for months. That is like awesome.
They were also number one February 12th,
I need to
2019.
I need to talk to Jeannie about posting lyrics to Metal Archives.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome because I can make out some of it, but some of it, you know.
Also, on February 19th, 2019, they were still number one.
They were my pick for album of the year last year, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to over 100 albums, well over 100. Fuck, yeah. And yes, they were my pick for number one. This year it's well, I know it's only late February, but shit, there's already so many good albums out today this year.
Now, as of today, they fell off the chart.
It's
To number two, that is.
uh, yeah, so and that's not even me doing this either. I mean, that's the best part. Although I have requested them many times, but yeah, that is awesome. It is a great album, and you should really get it. Like I said, it's melodic, but it's also quite heavy and dark, and
Yeah.
that's what it needs to be. I think I told you the first time I heard the name, I thought they were like some bestial black metal band because the word goat in it. and I was surprised, but not unpleasantly. I mean, that
Well,
last
you
album.
heard Gods as a poem. I forget who the hell wrote it. Oh
Uh,
God, I'm probably gonna get chewed out for not knowing. But it was a pretty desolate kind of poem too. I remember reading it. I forget all the themes that went into it, but it was like I just remember coming out with the feeling of desolation. I'm like, yeah, that kind of fits the band. I could see why they chose that as a name for the band.
yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
So
now we've given our love. Let us receive some hatred.
Sir Philip Sidney wrote that poem.
There we go.
Google is your friend, Jim. I,
Well, I
I,
don't have
I
that open at the
I
moment.
actually had no idea it was a poem. I'll have to read that after the show. I did. I thought that was just something that they came up with. I mean, how many metal bands? Hey, it sounds cool. Fucking nocturnal mutilation,
All right.
nocturnal blood mutilation. How about some vampiric spermization?
Vampiric spermalization, sodomization.
Well, it especially the South American scene. I mean, what exactly is anal vomit again? I don't know what it is.
I think that's fucking. You don't know if it's coming in or out. That's the worst part. Maybe both.
Yeah, that's not something very pleasant though.
Through both ends, like in some weird inverted human centipede kind of thing. We don't know.
I mean, yes, he's forced to eat shit and shit out shit.
So for the hatred here, police chief in charge of Jesse Smollett investigation says there is more proof he staged the attack as first photograph of the backdated $3,500 check he paid to Nigerian brothers to beat him emerges. Dear God, that's one hell of a beating. You want it to look good, don't you?
How
Uh,
much of an
it, it,
attention?
if it, seriously, if either of us were paid, hell, if we had to split 3,500 between us, and someone was paying us to beat the shit out of him, we would make it look
How
good.
much of an attention whore do you have to be? I mean, I know how to get a beating without. I know how to get a beating for free. You know what you do?
To open your mouth.
This band fucking sucks. What?
Exactly. That's another good way. Just this band. The most common metalhead opinion there has ever been. This band sucks.
No.
Which band? Name one. It doesn't matter if it's,
You want to know how to get a beating, Jim? You go to a redneck bar and tell them Pantera sucks.
ooh, no, that's death. That's death. You're asking to be murdered, and no one will find the body.
Yeah. Walk on home, boy.
Mm,
Pantera and rap fans have something in common. You say my spelling is bad?
hmm The police chief in charge of the investigation into Jesse Smollett's alleged hoax attack said on Monday that there was more evidence which incriminates him on top of the mountain of proof that has already been made public. Keep in mind, this is a guy that faked, MAGA hat wearing people coming up saying this is MAGA country, beating the shit out of him just so he would get paid more money on the TV show he was working on, where he got paid what, hundreds of thousands of dollars per episode? Oh, at least over $100,000 per episode.
Yeah, this one because I
I need
remember
more
when
money. Dear God, what are
I
you
remember
doing?
when
Wiping your ass with solid gold jet skis and throwing it in the dumpster?
I want a solid gold jet ski. I remember when this first broke. I was on Twitter and I thought, well, that kind of sucks. And then it took a turn for the weird when it was a fake attack. But I
Mm.
didn't really look into the story. I didn't know he was actually attacked. I thought he just painted some bruises on his head.
Well, that's pretty much what happened. And the whole thing he was bragging about was, and I never dropped my sandwich, even though I had a noose around my neck. And I was so roughed up that I didn't go to the police for 3 hours and called my agent first or whatever. And I also had to call my drug dealer before that.
Yeah, bullshit. He didn't drop a sandwich. I've seen attacks happen.
I've seen attacks happen.
If you
Oh,
don't drop
God.
your sandwich, then
Okay,
you're
okay. Back in the day, uh, I was friends with a really rough crowd, and few of them happened to be neo Nazis. You want to see a real hate crime? You want to see what a real beatdown looks like? Hang out with the few anti-socialist fuck neo-Nazis who are young enough to be that fucking belligerently disrespectful to any laws, because when you're young, you're more likely to take those damn chances, and, well, being antisocial on top of it makes you take even greater chances.
I know
Yeah,
one guy.
I was lucky that I was not questioned by the police because they had all the evidence they needed to, put them behind bars for a few months.
I knew one
I
guy.
didn't have to narc up my friends because the cops had more than enough. So, they didn't even bother questioning me. They had the camera and everything, and plenty of other witnesses that, weren't their friends.
One
I
guy
did
who
tell them,
didn't.
flat out, I'm their friend, so I don't know if you really want me speaking. Like, oh no, we don't.
Uh, I knew one guy who would actually who actually had that happen to him, where he got attacked and didn't drop his food, and then he said, after getting a pretty bad beating, from what I understand, I wasn't there. I was somewhere. I was at a show, but he said the words that will make anyone run. After getting, like I said, a pretty bad beating, still holding his cheeseburger. Are you done yet?
That reminds me of the time where
Just, oh
what
God!
happened was, okay, the night before, okay, we were at this field party in the middle of nowhere, and I was like blitzed out of my mind. I ended up stealing this one guy's bowl without even knowing I did, because I thought it was mine. And I come
It's
home and realize I
mine.
have two bowls. I'm like, oh God, I think I stole that dude's bowl. Well, he meets me in the middle of the street, stopping his car,
Yeah.
jumping out, saying, "Hey, you fucker, you stole my bowl." And my friends are like, "You want us to jump?" I'm like, "Nah, I earned this." So he beats the shit out of me as best he can. I had some nice bruises on me, and like, after a couple minutes, I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's about the price of a bowl." Stand up, and it's like, "We're done here." And he just looked at me. I was like, "Holy shit!" And the look on his face was just screaming, "I gave it my all." And he just stood up, told me that was enough,
Oh
and
yeah,
just
that
started to
was
walk away like this was nothing to him.
yeah,
And
that
then
was the thing.
that was just a brief second look on his face before he ran back into his car, burnt rubber, and got the fuck out of there.
Oh yeah, that
I
was the
heard
thing.
that,
They were,
the very next day he moved to West Virginia.
oh yeah, that was the whole thing. They were panting, fucking out of breath and stuff. And the guy just shrugs, takes a bite of burger. Are you done yet? Oh shit, I'm out of here.
I mean, yeah, you can be that hardcore, but,
Until one day, sorry, sadly this story doesn't have a happy ending. Someone who he pissed off came back with an equalizer called a 45 pistol,
yeah.
and you know, uh, ended his reign of terror, which was sad. I mean,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
lucky I was never actually shot by anything aside from a crossbow bolt.
the crossbow is a funny story, but I mean, it's. He was one of those people. I was sad that he died, but I was also like, and he lived to be that age. How?
Hmm.
That's he got in a lot of
I mean, I
fights.
look back at my past, say, how the fuck did I reach my age now? I'm like 43 now. Oh, God. This age
Yes, you're
is
about
so inconceivable to me. How the fuck did I live this long?
yes, you're about to outlive Seth Putnam. Although, granted, how did Seth Putnam get to be 43? I will never know because he did things post coma. Where he was in a coma for like what 2 weeks or so, and probably had some brain damage. He did things post coma that you wouldn't have done in your party days.
Oh, God. That's horrible. I had some rancid shit, too. Fuck.
I mean,
But yes, suffice it to say, back to the point here, I saw some legit hate crimes. This is on top of their standard par for the course vandalism and intimidation that they were at least polite enough to excuse themselves from my company before they did it. They didn't want me attached because they knew I wasn't part of their group because I was the one trying to talk them out of this shit.
yeah,
But whenever they got the idea in their head and they had to go, they did it.
that that does remind me of. I hate to bring up this movie again, but that does remind me of a scene in Lords of Chaos where Varg and Euronymous were arguing. Varg was in Mayhem at the time. Hellhammer senses the argument. All right, see you guys. Bye. Fuck it. You guys argue amongst yourselves and go burn down churches. I don't want any part of it.
Yep.
He's one of the only people who didn't serve any time.
Superintendent Eddie T. Johnson appeared on Good Morning America on Monday to defend the Chicago Police Department's investigation into the attack and double down on his condemnation of Smollett.
Yeah, I mean, it is
I mean,
interesting watching how the media did change their tune overnight, which I understand. But they were all for, oh, this poor guy, and then once they,
you see, just to compare, okay, the things we just described that we both did, or you knew someone like that, those stories alone are rancid. They're fucking filth.
yes,
And we will receive death threats because of that shit. Just us being us because we're that objectionable. This is a person that tries to cast himself as the true hero.
yeah.
If you're casting yourself as a true hero, it's going to be, and people buy into it, the masses do, it's going to be hard to find people that are willing to jump that high to punch you in the face.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They're too clean cut for that, and they know that they'd suffer repercussions. It's going to take a complete insane whack job to do it, and trust me, whenever you get someone that insane, one of you is not going to leave there alive because you're either going to have to kill him in self-defense or you're being beaten to death with your own skull.
Whereas if someone killed us, no one would care.
The world would rejoice. We've already been told that the society would benefit greatly from our demise.
Not only do
And
I
we're
not like
small potatoes, man. Fuck.
not only do I not like his show, but I think it's bad for society in general.
Hmm.
And yes, we are small potatoes. I think we have 146 subscribers, which is still awesome. But thank you to
About,
everyone.
6 people who regularly watch the show whenever they get off their lazy asses to click a button.
Yeah, you know who you are. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for justifying our existence, even if you hate us.
And we
Some of our own fans hate us. It's great.
oh, I know fans who hate us. I know people
So,
who
so if you really want the hatred, you got to do something vile. I think after this stunt, though, he might actually be considered vile enough to attack and actually suffer some real hate crimes, which is going to be hilarious because he's going to cry, but I did nothing as he receives them, even though he did this to himself. I'm not even taking the alleged thing here. I'm not saying alleged
it's
unless the
just
article
freaking
does.
awesome
It
that
just,
somebody hurt themselves for
yeah.
I'm gonna hurt myself so I can be
Please.
a martyr.
You want $3,500? Give me, dude. Just split between us two, man. He would have had so many scars and shit, and it would actually look like, someone was out to kill him, and we wouldn't have killed him or maimed him that badly, just badly enough that like people
You
would
would
be
probably have
documenting
to no,
scars and
Elliot,
scars
stop.
and abrasions into the fucking wee hours of the morning, going, "Oh my god, there's another one. How the hell did they rupture a testicle?"
Yeah, but you have to be like Elliot, stop,
He's paying us to let him live. He just needs the marks.
shut up and bleed. That is my favorite line from Twisted Metal Black, Sweet Tooth. Shut up and bleed, you motherfucker.
He batted away the Empire actor's claim that the check was for the brothers he allegedly paid to attack him, was for personal training. Crack? Meth? That counts as personal training, right? Maybe pot? I don't know. That's kind of personal training. I think you
do
get
you
more
remember
I think you get more get up, go, and gumption from crack and meth than you would pot, though. But
Jerry Springer was before he became, inbred talk show host, was a politician. He lost I think, a governorship for one state. I think it might have been Ohio. I'm not sure because he paid a prostitute with a check, and it came out in the. Is that personal? First off, who pays a prostitute with a check? But second, is that personal trading? And third, who pays a hooker with a check?
really, God, I mean,
Well, apparently Jerry
what
Springer
kind of hooker accepts a check as payment?
paid to the order
Because
of
anyone that does that, know is automatically gonna be fucking shifty as fuck.
paid
And
to the
there's a
order of whore.
50-50 shot that they just stole this check. And the moment you go to cash it, now you're going to jail for check fraud that you didn't commit because someone wrote you a check they stole.
Yeah, Jerry was not
Wow.
a very smart person.
Mm.
Paid to the order of whore.
And said there was surveillance footage, physical evidence, and testimony that proves it was a hoax, which is yet to be presented. Uh,
But most
it
likely
has
will
been
be.
presented by so many different sources. He still has the presumption of evidence, and he'll get his opportunity in court if he chooses to go that route, Johnson said, rejecting Smollett's lawyer's claim that he has been unfairly vilified by the police department and prosecutor's office. Yeah, we still have to presume his innocence. I mean, fuck. I know people who actually did things, but the court said they
Innocent until
didn't, and
proven guilty.
I'm perfectly fine with the court saying they didn't because they were kind of friends of mine, or well, most of them were just like junkies buying off me, and I liked having their money.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, when the court says you did nothing wrong, run with it.
Well, exactly. As Farley kind of said, I was not convicted of burning down the church, and if I wasn't convicted, I didn't do
Mm-hmm.
it. He probably did do it.
Probably.
I mean,
We went over that article last session. Yeah,
he
I
fucking
think.
well, he had a picture of the burnt out church on the LP cover and gave out lighters with the picture of the burned church on it, which
That's just awesome.
I still think the guy from Voices of Wonder is like, I thought it was, I regret doing that. I'm like, oh, fuck off. I would do it again. Here's a lighter.
I can tell you this, there's a lot more evidence that has not been presented yet that does not support his version of the incident. That's usually the case. I mean, yeah, you got to do discovery before the trial, but you don't have to do that until it's just before the trial.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a weird story. I love it. It's just welcome,
There's
welcome
still
to
a
the
lot of
world.
physical evidence, video evidence, and testimony that simply does not support his version. It's not the Chicago PD saying he did something. It's the evidence, the facts, and the witnesses saying this. Yeah, it's usually the case.
Police bad.
Like I said, he's got the chance to go to court and get a not guilty, or maybe a hung jury with the judge saying we're not going to retry this because it's too much of a circus.
I doubt that'll happen.
You
From what
only
I
need
hear,
one for a hung jury. You only need one.
well, yeah, what he's hoping, yeah, that's pretty much what he's hoping for at this point. And but and he's also like you said, hoping that the judge will declare a mistrial.
Listen to us talking like we have legal degrees when our only experience with the law is from the other side of it.
I know a little bit about it because I studied the Jello Biafra obscenity case because it's a very interesting story. So I know a little bit about how juries work and things like that. There was there was one guy. I hate to derail the thing, but there was one guy on the jury duty who came up. Is there any reason why you can't impartially serve on this thing? Yeah, all cops are liars. Well, how do you figure that? Well, I was involved in a dispute in this very courtroom, and the cop lied on the witness stand under oath, and I was found guilty. And then in the elevator, he told me, "Well, that's the way the game is played." Judge out. So that's how you get out of jury duty, people.
Yep.
I don't understand why people don't do that more. But hey, then again, you got up by just wearing a Slayer shirt, right?
hmm No, technically, the whole thing went down that the, the fucking one attorney was like, "Oh my god, you're a racist," you know, because I was wearing the fucking Slayer shirt with the Iron Eagle on it,
Yeah, yeah.
symbol of evil for the evil band.
Iron Eagle flies again.
And even though they're not racist, go ahead, check out the Repentless series of videos and tell me they are.
Or just take a look at the lead singer.
Uh-huh.
There's nothing
Oh,
arrogant
come
about
on.
that.
No one wants to go look at Orion. Sorry. Because they're
But
just
no,
going to pronounce it Aryan
yeah, right. there's
without
there's nothing
realizing where it comes from.
there's nothing arrogant about Tom Araya.
Uh-huh.
But no, yeah, you're a racist, and of course you don't try to deny stuff like that if you want to get
But
out of.
I mean, I loved putting it the way I did just because it was funny. And it was funny to see how many people just blindly accepted it when the real thing was they had their quota of jurors and just told me to go home. But the
Uh,
lawyer bumping into me, calling me a racist, that happened. It just wasn't the
yeah,
cause of me getting booted out.
but
It might have been
if 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 someone did that to
if
me,
the
I just
quota
like
wasn't full. It might have been.
no. I mean, but if I was being called that and it was a way to get out of it, I'd just start like quietly, Iron Eagle flies again. Sig Heil.
There we go.
Yes, make them believe you're unfit. It might ruin your record, but my record's already ruined. So
Johnson, who eviscerated the Empire Star during a press conference last week after his arrest, it said he was careful throughout the investigation not to jump to the conclusion that Smollett was involved, despite growing suspicion among detectives.
were you involved? Were you involved?
I refused to let Chicago Police Department categorize him as a suspect until we had solid evidence.
Oh,
John Johnson also said he was acutely aware of the police department's reputation for being racist,
yeah.
which Smollett supporters have invoked in their defense of him, but that it played no role in this investigation. The black man said something like this really can be really damaging. We have made a lot of progress in the last 3 years in terms of race relations. The
Yeah,
black man also said we're heading in the right direction in terms, but we are where we want to. But are we where we want to be? Of course not.
yeah, but once a racist, always a racist.
Yeah, there's no path for redemption. Forgiveness is a lie.
Yep. Forgiveness, yeah.
Forget that forgiveness reinforces good behavior, whereas rejecting for being completely unforgiving, it reinforces ill behavior, the
Re-
worst
re-
kind, and people just go further and
At,
further the more you say I can't
at,
forgive you.
at best, if you get rejected, you'll not say it publicly, but you'll still have these beliefs at best. But you're not
Uh-huh.
gonna. But you're not gonna something. You're not gonna want to turn over a new leaf because you're being treated like scum. You know, like I said, at most you'll just shut up about it,
If
or
you're,
maybe you'll just go radical.
however, if others treat you like a human being and can disregard your past, that kind of makes you want to try to fit in better and work hard to, do
I
what's
think
right.
some
Even if you're not going to fit in ever, you still work, as okay, I'm going to be a productive
and it
member of
also makes
society
you
now.
extremely guilty because I did something bad to someone, and their friends were very nice to me, and it was like, wait, now I feel bad for doing this, you know?
Yeah, that's a good way to invoke that guilt if you're actually nice to the person who wronged you.
Yeah,
God, that was one of the things that got me feeling guilty.
yeah.
Because there were many things I did throughout my youth where I didn't feel guilt, but whenever I wronged people that were kind to me, I actually felt guilty
Oh fuck,
and
you're talking
attempted reparations and shit.
you're talking to me and nice to me when you should be like, oh god, now I feel bad.
Hmm.
It really does work. Trust me. I wish it didn't, but
It does, because human condition and all that.
I hate being human.
Joss Johnson added that he did not want Smollett's case to act as a deterrent to true victims of hate crimes, saying, "This is just one incident. There are real victims of crimes of that nature, hate crimes, and I just hope people don't treat them with skepticism."
Which they're going to start because of the
Yeah, because of this moron, trying to say, look, hate crimes are real, but faking one. The real ones, like ones I've witnessed.
now they're oh yeah, it's like the rape thing. Sadly,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's fucked up.
People sit there and cry rape whenever nothing happened. Meanwhile, there's me at 7 years old having a cock jammed down his throat. God damn. But no one wants to believe that.
It's fucked up, man.
This is one particular incident, and it has to stand on its own merits. The city of Chicago has its issues. The CPD has its issues with racism and excessive force and all of that, and I'm acutely aware of it. But we didn't learn of this, but we didn't earn this incident, and I refuse to let us take that shot if I have evidence to the contrary.
Well, yeah. No one wants to be accused of it, and yeah, if you have evidence to the contrary, then
It's my responsibility to make sure the record gets set straight. Hmm.
yes, set the record straight and then burn it to the ground.
He added that it was offensive that Smollett included the claim that a noose was put around his neck by attackers in his story, given the significance as a symbol of racism. I grew up in the tail end of the civil rights era. The symbolism of a noose is very offensive, he said. And that's part of the reason.
What was the story I heard where a friend's, I think it was a friend's dad was telling me he went to this was a long time ago, obviously, and he was in the Mississippi, and he threw his ball over the hedge and went to go get it. And what did he see when he went to go get his ball? He saw men in white stringing up a black man from a tree. Yeah, the parents of the kid moved out of town the next week.
As you probably should if no one's going to do anything. Well, it's in broad daylight, so it's obvious
Yeah, that was
they're not going to have anything happen to them if they're confident enough to do it like that.
yeah. So yeah, they moved to California the next week. So yeah, that is a symbol of, but yeah.
Ah, fuck. After his arrest last week, the Cook County State's Attorney Office revealed some of the evidence it had against Smollett at an extraordinary press conference in court. It included phone records which show Smollett called the one brother an hour before the attack, an hour afterwards, and while they were in Nigeria days later.
Nigeria is well, I only know one person from Nigeria, and you've already heard the stories about how weird she was.
Yeah.
Uh, she wanted basically wives to be robots to their husbands. This is not a man saying this, by the way. This is not some weird like Elliot Rodger type or something. This was a woman saying that. Yeah, that was creepy.
They also say have surveillance footage of Smollett with the brothers in the days before the attack, while they were allegedly piecing it together. On February 13th, Roberts sat down with Smollett to discuss the incident. At the time, he was still being treated as a victim by police, but there was growing suspicion within the police department over his alleged involvement in the attack. He angrily denied making up any part of his story and cried to Roberts that he was being attacked, both on the right of the attack and afterwards, because he hates President Trump.
I mean, I don't like the guy either, but I'm not gonna injure myself to prove that. I'll just say he's a fucking idiot.
Mm.
It's not even about hating Trump. It's about personal gain.
Uh-huh.
I mean, did forget the money thing. Did you ever hear of this guy before the attack?
No, I don't even watch the TV show involved.
Vaguely heard of the show, never seen it, never wanted to, but I never heard of this kid before the attack ever.
I mean, hell, I'm not even familiar with most of the actors on Game of Thrones, and I occasionally watch that.
I know a couple names, but yeah, if I don't know anything they did, I just know a couple names. But
Mm.
but yeah, so I vaguely knew the show, but now we were talking about him. He's actually on Swine Brothers, which is about as pop culturally like up to date as well. I know who played Beavis and Butthead, and I know who played Duckman.
Yeah, and so we're 20 years behind the curve, and we're bringing this up now.
Oh, and I also know
Mission accomplished.
Well, actually, I'm pop culturally update to one thing. The newest Beefcake the Mighty just left Guar.
Aw, what the fuck?
Jake Land. He's a pretty good bassist. I wonder who they're gonna get. If it's Casey Oregon, I'm gonna laugh so hard. 'Cause he's been in and out of the band like for
Yeah.
so. And plus, that's actually kind of cool. Casey Ora and Mike Bishop in the same band, two Beefcakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Smollett arrived 2.5 hours late to that interview and offered no explanation for it. Uh, Got pictures of the deposition, the bond proffer. Yay.
I was smoking meth.
I'm not going to read all that. It's all legalese.
Zombie bath salts, brains.
The actor is due back in court on March 14th to face a felony charge of filing a false police report.
March 14th is a couple weeks away, so if we remember, we'll update you, but we probably won't remember.
I mean, whenever we are trying to frame each other for shit, whenever things went south every now and then, as whenever you hang out with an antisocial crowd, it frequently does.
Yeah.
You know, and we didn't get the cops involved in that shit. We just said shit behind people's backs and they believed it. You didn't want to get the cops involved because then you knew it would eventually come back to you and you didn't want to be the one known for doing it.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like the guy from the Cro-Mags was talking about. Back in the 70s and 80s, you'd have fist fights, and you'd settle your differences. Nowadays, everyone just wants to call the cops.
Yes, fistfights are so much more honorable, so much more clean cut and old fashioned. You get yourself a nice ass kicking in.
Yeah, but we can't be
I,
old-fashioned anymore. Everything that was old
I
has.
mean, yeah, sometimes you're the bloody husk on the ground, sometimes you leave a bloody husk on the ground.
Sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you.
Hmm.
But of course, we
I
can't be.
mean, you fuck with someone with martial arts, there's no guarantee that they're going to win. It's highly likely, but I've beaten a couple. but
But
that's just because my endurance at the time was fucking
he
inhuman.
will die.
My way of winning fights was I would take 500 punches to my face just so I would land the one punch that would just floor them right then start jumping on their damn rib cage screaming
Is
while
that
they
like
stop breathing.
is that like the Simpsons episode where Homer became a boxer because he had fluid around his brain, so people kept punching him until they got tired and he just knock them over?
That might be what inspired it. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. My face was, my nose has been broken so many times, but people just didn't want to fuck with me after they saw how I won fights. Because at first, it was like, yeah, I could take him. Yeah, I could take him. They're watching, friends on the other side watch this. Say, yeah, he's such a pussy. He's not even. Wait, what? Oh God, no,
He
no, no,
won't
no, no,
die.
no, no, no. Oh God, I'm running away now. I'm not even going to help my friend who's on the ground now because oh fuck, I did not witness this.
I
And part of the reasoning was, my face so battered in, I could get off on a self-defense plea.
I just like to picture he won't die. Why
Granted, it
won't
wouldn't
he
have worked
die?
because, it wasn't one hit and they're dead. It was me jumping on their rib cage. So, and there's no guarantee of temporary insanity, which
Yeah.
I would have needed to get off looking back. That was a stupid way of looking at things.
So basically, we'll both have to sort of, no, Jim, you can't. He wants us. He wants us alive. Then you have to say the
Yeah.
same thing to me.
Uh-huh.
Good.
He is accused of paying the brothers $3,500 to attack him at 2 a.m. on January 29th. Police say Smollett orchestrated the attack because he thought it would boost his celebrity profile, which it did, and earned him a raise, which it did not. He was written off the show.
And we've heard of him, which sort of.
Which means, yeah, his celebrity profile is raised if we actually heard of him. God, we're so in the cave. How the fuck did we even know this existed?
That was the thing about Top Gear. Forget that it's a British show, but they had star in a reasonably priced car, which was basically celebrities go out and do a lap in a small, underpowered car. Forget that it's mostly British celebrities. Even when they had American celebrities, like I know who Tom Cruise is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know like a couple names. I only know Tom because he was in Days of Thunder, which was a shit movie. But even the Americans, I'm like, who is this person?
I
but
know Dawn Adams and Barbara Feldon. That was Maxwell Smart and Agent 99 from Get Smart. From the 70s
yeah,
TV show,
I
you
know
know.
voice actors. Brendan Small, obviously.
uh,
I know voice actors more than I know actual actors.
mm,
Does Dave Brockie count as an actor?
I'll say yes, just
Fuck
because
off,
war
Dave.
movie. Oh, he was actually in other movies too, playing.
He was in other movies. Yes, he was.
Oh my god, it was such an awesome date. I thought I was going to die. Yeah, you just were front stage at a Guar show.
I actually thought Brocky was a decent actor. I mean, yeah, he hammed it up, but that was his whole shtick.
Hmm.
And Jello Biafra as the evil record executive, that was he was great at that. I gotta watch Skullhead Face after this.
The 36-year-old star's attorney insists he's innocent. Part of his defense is that the check was for personal training. It was backdated to January 23rd, and on it, Smollett wrote it was for program to help him lose weight ahead of a music video appearance.
I actually have his testimony here.
Hmm.
I am not a crook. Frankly, I'm innocent.
Uh-huh. Writing in the memo, 5-inch week nutrition workout plan. 5-week nutrition workout plan. Bum, 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 bum.
I have a 5-minute nutrition workout plan. Don't eat anything for 5 minutes.
If minutes were days,
If
minutes could seem like hours.
Made it seem like days since fires were.
Spires ruled the skies, the rich became the beggars, and fools became the wise.
There you go. Ah,
Smolt's castmates are split in their opinion of what happened. I don't care about them.
I wouldn't know who the fuck they were.
Yay, someone deleted a supportive Instagram post in which she said she believed him after his arrest. I
Apparently, she doesn't anymore.
believe him after his arrest. Oh, wait, something else came out. I can't believe him anymore. Boop. I never said that.
I wouldn't have deleted it. I would have just said, by the way, my opinion's changed.
Jackson, gay rights leader, accused of burning down his own home. Or her own home. What's the correct gender here?
Probably her if it says her. He's
It,
he's,
it's
he's
looking like a
dyslexic.
her.
He's dyslexic.
Maybe it's a him. I don't know. We'll find out. When the home of Nikki Jolie burned down in 2017, killing 5 pets, the FBI investigated it as a hate crime. After all, the transgender man, okay, it's he, and gay rights activist had received threats after having a banner year in this conservative town. In the prior 6 months, he had helped open the city's first gay community center, organized the first gay festival, and, after 18 years of failed attempts, helped lead a bruising battle for an ordinance that prohibits discrimination against gays.
That's really gay. Literally.
For his efforts, a local paper named him Citizen of the Year.
Well, good for him. I'll never be named citizen of the shit. I told you the story when I was a little kid. I got student of the month once for citizenship of all things, and I openly asked if they had the wrong person because I knew what I was. I knew what I was.
Uh,
I just I still have memories of that. I was like, "You got student of the month," and I was like, "Are you sure it's the right person?"
I got Student of the Month at Votech for February 1994. I was also on the 1993 math team for Votech.
Good, you got student of the month the year I was born. What does that say about me?
You're a cursed.
Yeah, right. But no, I just because well, okay, I didn't know if I knew what I was, but I knew at least most of what I was, and I was like, wait, how the hell did I get student of the month?
No, I was trying to be the good boy to prove them all wrong. And then I proved them all right by my own actions while I still blamed them for things I did to myself.
Yes.
And then I accepted the fact I did things to myself. And that led me down the path of accepting everything I did to myself. I was like, holy shit, did I fuck up my own life? Oh, well, it's time to roll the punches and just deal with it, one thing at a time.
I tried being the good boy, and look where I am now.
Mm-hmm. You're stuck with me.
Ah. Jim, do you know why Elliot Lindenwood jumped out a window?
I took a shit.
Oh
Sounds
God!
reasonable to me.
The smell traveled from Pennsylvania to California.
Yes, they just reeked of raw sewage across the nation. Authorities later determined the fire was intentionally set, but the person they arrested came as a shock to both supporters and opponents of the gay rights movement. It was the
Me.
Citizen of the Year, Nikki Jolie.
Yay, high society. Or polite society.
Yep. And this is why I say abandon polite society, because these are the games polite society plays.
Yes.
Embrace being a scum dog, at least whenever you're a complete vile putrescence. Your own actions speak for your worth, not just automatically assumed because you said the right thing at one point in time.
Yep. That's why I'll never be citizen of the year or described as an upstanding pillar of community. At best, my house will be avoided because Yeah, because it's me.
It's embarrassing, said Travis Trombley, a gay resident who fought for the ordinance. How do you do it to the community you have put in so much effort into helping?
Because they're dumb.
While Jolie, 54, would allegedly burn down his home remains a mystery. He didn't own the house, which was insured by its owner, police said.
I'm gonna burn down a home I don't even own.
His attorney said the lack of motive cast doubt on the case. Meanwhile, police investigative report suggests a possible reason for the fire.
I was on crack.
Two people who worked with Jolie at St. John's United Church of Christ, where the Jackson Pride Center was located, said he had been frustrated. The controversy over gay rights has died down with the passage of the non-discrimination law. I am disappointed I won.
Well, okay, I understand this because he might be saying, well, there's still fights we have to win, but at the same time, burning down your house and calling it a hate crime, I okay, if I thought of that idea, I would spend the next 5 hours going through scenarios where I get found out because
Yeah,
my mind shifts to all the worst case scenarios. Okay, I'm going to murder someone I hate. No, because what if I get caught? What if he survives?
I sat there and thought about all the potential evidence I would leave behind if I committed said deed. Therefore, I decided not to do it. Because I kept thinking, okay, if I clean this up, then, oh, wait, I got long hair. Fuck! I'm not shaving my head.
And so basically, so apparently someone doesn't know how to psych themselves out of something.
Mhm.
Because yeah, if the thought even came into my head, as I said, I would spend the next rest of the day thinking this isn't going to work, and I'll tell you why this isn't going to work. Chapter one.
And for those who sit there and are thinking why me having long hair would prevent me from committing a heinous act, you never heard of something called hair follicles being found and DNA being traced, because even back in the early 90s, I knew that was a potential thing.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that's and you don't want to shave your head. I don't know. You might look good as a skinhead. No, well, you wouldn't
No,
look
no,
good
I don't.
anyway.
I look like a fucking demented Uncle Fester. I mean, that would be cool if it weren't for the fact that the way it just looked just was completely off, and I was like, no. Because I did shave my head when I tried to get in the military, and I didn't like the way I looked.
I never liked. I mean, obviously, I can't see, but I never liked myself with short hair. I've always felt more comfortable with long hair.
I feel more like myself with long hair.
Yeah, and every girl I've talked to, oh yeah, you look so much better with long hair. It's like, well, I can't be wrong.
The church officials, Barbara Shelton and Bobby James, when asked by police about a possible motive for the fire, said Julie was disappointed the Jackson Pride Parade and Festival, held 5 days before the blaze, hadn't received more attention or protests. That makes me wonder how many protesters are paid by Marilyn Manson at his concert these days.
Uh, okay, I guess people still protest in like the fucking Bible Belt, which is which is pathetic. Because even in the '90s, I tried Marilyn Manson. There was so like I remember when I was a kid, Marilyn Manson was the even in 2005, 2006, he was this mysterious sort of boogeyman, and all these rumors were told about him. He was a Satan worshiper, and he sacrificed puppies on stage, and
He
he
even had a few ribs surgically removed so that way he could suck himself off in the name of Satan.
oh yeah, you heard that one too? Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
yeah. So I heard that one. So I was thinking, so I already knew a little bit about like death and black metal and Burzum and the murders and stuff. So I was like, what kind of death black metal is this guy playing? If people are actually afraid of him. Same thing with Ozzy Osbourne, because Ozzy Osbourne was he bit the head off a bat and he gets people to commit suicide. So I listened to Marilyn Manson. What a disappointment!
Oh God, yeah,
I was
no.
12 years old. I still like
It's not
Slipknot.
even fucking. It wasn't even fucking metal. It's just fucking watered down electronic alt rock
It wasn't even
with a little
industrial.
bit of distorted guitars and like most of it's fucking cover songs.
It wasn't even industrial because I like some industrial, like the really inhuman shit that like
Mm-hmm.
just sounds like someone's brains exploding, like
Uh-huh.
swans and killing joke. That's fun, but it wasn't even. I don't know. It just wasn't anything. And by the way, lest you think that I listened to this when I was like 22 and already a metalhead, I was 12 and still thought Slipknot was metal, and even I
Contacted by a reporter, James declined comment, but Shelton quibbled with the way police characterized her remarks, saying she had no idea if Jolie was frustrated by the lack of controversy. Not sure I said that, she wrote in an email. I have no idea about anything. Never heard Nikki comment in any fashion about anything like that.
I'm frustrated that we don't have any controversy because that's the only way we can change things in this world. So I'm going to burn down my house and accuse anonymous hate crime. But of course, when no suspects come forth, when people actually start looking into the conspiracy, it's
Yeah,
sort of
you see, it was just those two guys in those fucking red hats screaming, "This is MAGA country burning down my home," which wasn't even owned by me.
you
And my
have
landlord's going to be pissed.
you have people in the black metal scene who at the time. So Varg went to the journalist and he didn't really give himself away. I mean, all he said was he knew who burned down the churches, but they didn't even know his real name. He did spend a couple nights in jail, but he was released for lack of evidence. He claimed there's a lot of people who claim that the murder of Euronymous made like everything come to light. The church burnings and things like that. You'd realize the entire black metal thing. They would have found out who did it anyway. I mean,
Uh-huh.
maybe not 93, but later on. You can only hide a murder for so long.
Uh-huh.
Faust hid the murder for like a year and a half. He even went on tour. But like I said, there's only there's only so long you can hide a murder at church burning. So it would have come about anyway. But people still think that if you fuck kill your Artemis, man.
Jolie's attorney said his client already had lots of attention for his gay rights activism and wasn't looking for more.
Oh,
It doesn't make sense, he said. He was Citizen of the Year. There was plenty of media coverage already before the fire.
why did you burn down because I heard the word homophobic on TV.
Oh, God. What was the word?
Peaceful.
Huh?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Yeah, I heard peaceful, and that was it. We're all holding hands in some gay pride parade, and someone said peaceful, and I had to burn it all to the ground.
I heard the word peaceful on TV. Burn it.
A hearing to file motions in the case is scheduled for March 8th in Jackson County Circuit Court.
Yay, March 8th, which is not now. That's also in the future. Unless you're watching this on March 9th, then it's the past. In which case you know more about this than we do.
Yes, because this is all alleged, and I'm just saying this from the perspective of, okay, well, let's just take that side.
I know I'm making a reference to the fact that people can listen to this at any time.
Yeah. As gay rights supporters try to reconcile Jolie the Crusader with Jolie the alleged arsonist. You ever heard
Uh
of crusading arsonists?
you've never heard of basically getting hungry for power and attention? Yeah,
Mhm.
he may start out with good intentions, but then I'm not getting enough attention. This isn't getting enough attention. I have to find a way to get attention.
They worry the arrest could be used to reverse all the good he has done.
Wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah. Especially in a conservative town, if it's as conservative as they say, yeah, they'll take any. Oh, this gay guy did this, so we'll reverse all this because he burned down his home. Therefore, all gays are evil.
Stella Shenaniquet, whose son is gay, said leaders of social movements need to be beyond reproach because any perceived missteps could be used against their cause.
Holy fucking! I mean, okay, yeah, I understand
That's
that.
just how polite society works. Normal society operates, people can fuck up. As long as you don't fuck up too bad, then your cause is still good. Polite
I mean,
society is 100% unforgiving. If you killed a fly, they will find a way to turn that into making you the most evil bastard, even if you did it whenever you were an infant. Even if you
especially
did it whenever you were a fetus, they will find a way to turn that against you.
especially if
That's
especially if it's a conservative town, as I said. But
Oh,
still,
no, it doesn't have to be conservative. God, how many times do we see the liberals of polite
well, no, no,
society screaming for blood and turning on each other, eating each other the moment someone's even says something that's not
I'm talking
even
about in this specific
transphobic, but
circumstance.
is so easily twisted into it that they just eat
Yeah,
each other.
I'm,
So it's
I'm, I'm
both sides here that do it. Polite society just functions that way.
yeah,
You have to appear to be the paragon of holiness without actually being one.
I'm talking about in this specific circumstance, not just in general here, especially in this town and stuff like that. But at the same time, that's a terrifying thought. Yes, the leader of our group just massacred 6 million people. What should we do then? Beyond reproach.
Hmm.
That's a terrifying prospect, actually.
Yeah. Welcome to polite society. That's why we decided to abandon it.
Yes, well, I I I can't say I ever abandoned it because I can't say I ever was in it because
I tried to get into it because kids, and when I was younger, I wanted to be the hero. But aside from those 2 points, I realized it was bullshit and I didn't belong there anyway. And it's better to not belong to it because, dear God, is it ever like the largest hive of backstabbing, social climbing, fuck idiots that ever existed.
and
Period.
it
And it dates back to the dawn of humanity that these types existed. I'm the best one, for I have done all the best virtue of the virtuous.
and it's a symbiotic relationship. They hate us, we hate them.
I mean, shit, why the hell do you think pedophile priests are a thing? Because they thought their status put them beyond reproach, so now it's time to indulge in some of those dark fantasies you have, and no one's going to say anything because guess what? You're the priest.
Yep.
Oh,
And
God.
and if they can't get boys, they'll always just rape a couple nuns. And if you don't think that happens, then, the
Uh-huh.
stories that I have a friend who was in the whole Catholic nun thing, and she said part of the reason she started questioning was, quote, she was tired of 70-year-old men trying to feel her up.
And keep in mind that the scale of the crime, I mean, that someone commits,
Yeah,
you know, whenever you're part of the scumbag, okay, fine, you shoplifted, something petty or whatever, or you did something, whatever. Don't care about that. You set fire to your own house while you're fighting for a decent cause. What the fuck?
yeah, that is. Yeah.
They will still say what the fuck whenever you fuck up on such a colossal scale. But minor fuck ups, yeah, they'll just shrug it off and say, you were just being a moron, you know.
Yeah.
Just pay the damn fine and everything will be cool.
Well, you can't have Satan without God, so
Yeah. All
that
that good work is tainted. We know one bad mark outshines 100 good ones. Once again, going from the perspective of someone that has to be 100% unforgiving of all things all the time because you're an absolutist fucking idiot.
is we listen to bands who've killed people and are Nazis and all that.
Yeah. good musicians. Don't agree with them, and some of them deserved a little bit more jail time. But hey, you can't win everything in life.
Nope, you can't win them all,
Mm.
but you can lose them all.
I'm infuriated someone could tear down the community that way. Only if you let them. Why do you act as if he's the one with all the fucking agency and you have none?
Because
Why are
people,
you playing like you can't lift up your own feet and do your own thing?
because people are weak.
God. Besides his work in Jackson, Julie traveled around Michigan telling gay rights groups about his activism. He also would recount his personal story. It's not a happy one.
And then I burned down my own house. Yay!
His mother wasn't able to take care of him, so she gave him up, Jolie said in speeches. I hope my kids don't say that because I wanted to take care of him, but there was uh, so much shit going
Is what
on with
it is.
CYS and everything else.
Yeah, that's
Ex-wife being cunt she was at the time.
yeah.
Uh, according to audience members, he flittered from one foster home to another. He was adopted by a Jehovah's Witness couple who, because of his gender identity, kicked him out of the house at age 15.
Now that's Jehovah's Witnesses for you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind and loving God. Never mind.
Never mind, you don't belong anymore. Boop.
Yep. There was
His adoptive parents declined to comment.
a friend was
I
this is
declined to comment because we did that, but us admitting that would mean,
yeah,
yeah, we would look bad, and we don't want Jehovah's Witnesses to look bad because
a
just like
friend.
we heard from the left wing absolutist scumbags saying they have no agency, I'm certain the right wingers are going to do the same damn thing.
This is when hitchhiking wasn't, like, you get yourself killed and he could actually hitchhike, and he picked up a ride from some young couple, and they really liked him until they heard that he was a Satanist, and then the guy literally stopped and, okay, you can get out of the car in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere.
Jolie, who has a grown daughter, recently married his longtime girlfriend, Chris Moore, a consultant for a medical firm. He had worked as a nursing aide, but retired because of a form of glaucoma that impairs his vision. He spends most of his time volunteering with the Pride Center, the Red Cross, a church food pantry, and neighbors' cleanups.
Okay.
Well, that
Well,
well, him burning down his own house doesn't discount all that. That just means maybe you should just distance yourself from him. Take the
yeah.
good things he
Could also
did
just
as an
mean,
example and say the bad things he did were just an example of what not to do.
I mean, I'll give him the extreme benefit of the doubt just to play devil's advocate, which I love to do, and say maybe it's just fucking stress. I mean, people start out good, and then they spend so much time, they get overloaded and start going a little bit mad with power. Maybe he just needs a damn break.
And there's also that remote 0.01% chance that it actually was a hate crime that somehow successfully framed the guy sleeping in his own house for doing it.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah. But I know people go a little bit crazy with stress and things like that. Maybe he just needs a damn break for a while.
Yeah. Or maybe this was a celebration, and then he realized, oh shit, I celebrated too much. I
Oh shit!
accidentally burned down my own house. Well, time to blame it on someone else.
I didn't do it. It was like that when I got here. What do you mean? It was already on fire when? Yeah, when I moved in.
I mean, I will say one thing. Whenever people volunteer a shit ton, try to give 150% of themselves, my first instinct is to think there's some shady shit going on. because no one is ever that clean.
Yeah, I have also seen people who volunteer or who work for an activist cause, and they don't allow themselves any fun or any breaks, and so yeah, they get really like paranoid and really it becomes like a religion to them. And once they take a break for a couple months or a year, they're like, okay, I still believe in this cause, but wow, was I fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I know people who've gone down that road. Just get
Sometimes you just need to kick back that bottle of whiskey and drink it till it's gone.
oh well, yeah, or just get high.
Now that works too. There's a cause he's always there, said Terry McKinnon, a former treasurer of the Pride Center. He goes out of his way to help anybody and everybody. We're lucky to have him.
Yeah, there's a drawback to that because no one's a saint.
Jolie's most passionate work involves gay rights, said acquaintances. Shortly after the opening of the Pride Center, Jolie tried to recruit Shane Steffens as an intern. The center was opened limited hours and located in a single room in the church basement. Despite the modest surroundings, Jolie had grandiose plans. You could tell he was proud, said Steffens. He couldn't stop talking about it. He talked a mile a minute about all the things they had done and wanted to do. Ah, yes, and that's why Mottler was the hugest fucking band ever. Oh, wait, no, that never happened because I only talked about it and didn't do much to actually do it.
Yes, and that's why you're here and not playing with Gore.
Mm-hmm. In 2016, some Jackson residents mounted yet another bid for a non discrimination ordinance. The law would prohibit bias in employment, housing, and public facilities. Jolie became a fixture at city council meetings, repeatedly touting the benefits of the ordinance, said acquaintances. He sought support from local organizations, not just gay rights groups, but anyone who might be sympathetic. Yeah, that's what a good political campaigner does.
The
In a community where many gays remained in the closet, Jolie was willing to be the public face of the campaign, giving speeches, talking to the media. He put himself right out there in a town where that's maybe not safe, local activist Cindy Eby said with a laugh. There's a lot of hate in this town. He seemed fearless in the face of it.
and then he went crazy.
There's so much hate, I had to burn down my own house to prove there was that much hate.
That makes sense, Time Cube.
Of course, I'm saying it stays in one single Earth rotation as support for the ordinance grew. So did opposition. When the council voted on the measure in February 2017, 700 people attended the meeting, which had to be moved to a local theater to accommodate the crowd. Before the meeting, Jolie counseled his charges. He knew what was coming. During the campaign, foes have written vile things about him and his appearance on social media. I typed words. I'm so courageous. I typed words.
Jim typed words too. Where's his damn medal?
Hmm.
Sometimes his words even make sense. Other times he types in short form. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Exactly. Turn the other cheek, he told supporters. Don't give the mayor, who opposed the ordinance, an excuse to boot them from the meeting. At the end of the 6-hour meeting, the council voted 5-2 to pass the law.
but
Sim-
but I don't want to turn the other cheek. I want to kill people.
do 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 do. Greetings, shoppers. Today we have a sale in the fire section. Simply put, Jackson might have waited another decade for a non discrimination ordinance without Nikki, said the Reverend Cindy Landrum, a gay activist. Nikki decided he wasn't going to take no for an answer. While Jolie was stoic in public, he could be abrupt, even combative in private, said acquaintances. He was headstrong, unwilling to have his views challenged by others. Ah, yes, I've seen this on all sides of the political spectrum.
Yep.
I wish
I have
not to
gone
debate
through
this
it.
because it is fact and you just have to accept.
Yep. Communists.
Doesn't matter if Trump is God or Trump is Satan. One of them is right, and you must accept one of them as truth. And if you do not, then yeah, you're going to be shunned from all reality by one side or the other. Or if you pick neither side, then you're going to be shunned by both, as I get daily.
Yes. I have chosen no sides, just like in the D&D campaign, where remember the goblins, some goblins were even rooting for us until we killed them, and then the few remaining goblins were like, "Oh God, he doesn't care."
Mm-hmm. I'm real Vorka.
Okay, okay, you're a real Vorka.
He could also be deceptive, Shelton and James said in the police investigative report. 1 year after the Pride Center opened, Jolie broke it away from the church. Unknown to church officials, Jolie had secured nonprofit status for the center. Shelton said she felt betrayed because she was the one who secured the original funding for the center by applying for several grants.
Yes,
Shelton
you
and
you do
James
all that work, and then the guy just goes behind your back.
and fucks you out. Shelton and James both described Nikki as very deceptive and stated that when it comes to Nikki, there are layers of manipulation. Shelton declined to elaborate on the matter with a reporter. Be very, very angry. No one was home as the flames leaped from the house, Jolie shared with Moore, but the home wasn't unoccupied. A neighbor, knowing the couple had pets, kicked the front door in, but it was too hot to go inside, police said. When firefighters tried to open the back door, it was blocked by the body of a dog.
Oh, that's shit.
All 5 animals died, 2 German shepherds and 3 cats.
Oh,
Yeah, I hope they find the bastard who did that. Those animals need justice.
kitties.
Mm-hmm. Now, if it was a cow, I'd be fine with that. You just eat it.
Yeah, but I have a German Shepherd Husky. He's cute.
I like kitties, as long as they're not stepping on your keyboard.
Yeah, that. Yeah, well, yeah.
Traces of gasoline were later found in 5 rooms on the first floor.
Yes, a hate crime person will break into the house and laboriously put gasoline in 5 years. Usually, it's just like a match to the.
You just get a simple Molotov cocktail whenever you fear someone's home. I mean, if it and the way you're making it sound, the time of day, it sounds like there's a high likelihood of someone being home. So
Well, even if someone's not home, you don't know when they're gonna get home, so you're not just gonna. Do, do,
uh
do, 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 do.
I mean, you have to sit there, watch and wait. I mean, hell, those church arsons we were talking about from '92.
The
Yeah,
church arsons basically they had gasoline in a match, and sometimes they would go back if it didn't work. Sometimes they just leave it.
yeah.
But it was also in the middle of the night, so.
hmm Of the 2 story wooden frame house, according to the police report. Police interviewed resident Robert Tulloch, asking his whereabouts at the time of the fire. He said he was making a deposit at a bank drive-through, which was confirmed by the investigator.
Unfortunately, it was a sperm bank drive-through.
I'm just yanking it while I'm driving by. Yeah. And that just made me lose my cigarette.
I have cost him his cigarette.
I had to make the joke. It was my
I
own
knew it.
fault.
I laughed.
You were not responsible in the slightest. That was my own fault for having to make the joke.
I wasn't responsible for something. Yay!
2 weeks before the blaze, Tulloch had written an email to the city manager and council objecting to plans to raise a rainbow flag at a city park as part of the Pride Festival.
Because fuck Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon's early paint scheme was a rainbow paint scheme.
That is an in-your-face declaration of war and will be met with a violent response, wrote Tulloch, according to a police report.
That's a black metal response.
Mm-hmm. It was orchestrated. They wanted to find someone to blame, Tulloch told the Detroit News. Meanwhile, donations rolled in for Jolie and more. The church hoped to raise $10,000, but quickly sped past that amount. By the time St. John's and other groups were done, they had collected $58,000.
I, I I could move out to Pennsylvania for that money.
In a Facebook post 2 days after the fire, Jolie exhorted supporters not to respond to the blaze by threatening violence.
So all I have to do is try to burn down my house, and I get 58,000. Claim it was a hate crime against blind people.
Yes, be angry, be very angry. Use that anger to force good. Use that anger to make change, he wrote.
Use that anger to force good. Like you force yourself on people. I mean, what?
How many a lawful good paladins have completely wiped out an entire orc's nest, essentially committing genocide.
Fuck
In
paladins.
the name of all that is holy and righteous.
Paladins piss me off.
Uh-huh. That's why you're going to play a blackguard.
I don't like good. Protection from good.
Mm-hmm. Despite the attention on Tulloch, police had another suspect in mind. They quickly zoned in on Jolie, according to police report. Jolie told him that on the morning of the fire, he bought $10 of gas at a marathon station so he could cut grass. He began to mow, but it was too hot, so he stopped with the backyard half done.
Yeah.
Okay. He went
Okay.
to work at the church and got a call from Moore at 1:02 p.m., said the report. Moore had forgotten to pack her lunch, so asked Jolie to bring it to her at work. The couple share one car. Jolie returned home, which was 2 miles away, went inside for a minute or two, and left, he told police.
And then burned it down.
The fire was reported by neighbors at 1:16.
Yeah. So just after you left, some guy, oh, all right, mate, we're gonna burn down his fucking house.
Uh-huh. That is way too narrow of a gap
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
in several gasoline in several rooms. I mean, and being unseen and oh god,
Yeah. That is way
wow.
too narrow of a gap. I,
I'm
I
just sitting here thinking how I could pull off an arson of that magnitude in 14 minutes.
yeah.
It would
It
have to
is.
be an ultra small one room shack in order to get away with it to the degree where I could actually frame someone else. By one room shack, I mean about 10 by foot by 10 foot. That's about the size I could probably
Because
like a
even if it
tool
was
shed. I could
bigger,
burn down a tool shed in that amount of time and be capable of framing the owner for it. I would not be able to do several rooms in 14
because
minutes.
he would have seen the guy. There's no way.
You would have had to have had easy access inside to leave the gasoline where it was.
Yeah,
You
he would
know,
have to. There's literally no way of doing that in 14 minutes. Well, okay, there's a way of doing it in 14 minutes, but
now keep in mind this 102 is the time that the call was received.
yeah, so even less than so. Yeah, there's no way. Yeah, if it was reported at 116,
So considering all the time, that leaves them with about 5 minutes to do it all, which is possible if you
but he
just
would have been.
unlock your door, go in and pour the gas everywhere, light the match and run, you
But
know.
if
But
it was
it's
someone else,
impossible for someone to methodically do this and frame the owner.
if it was someone else, even if he did do the match thing and run, whatever his name is, would have seen something lurk. I mean, there's no way you can do it and not be seen by the owner if he's there at the
Yeah.
house, especially in broad daylight. So yes, as James Hunt said, and all I can say to that is bullshit.
The sequence of
He's
events would have made it difficult for anyone but Joe Lee to set the fire.
you can see Jim. Tulok is guilty. Well, how do you know that? It's the way he smiled, dude.
Mhm.
Oh, come on, I had to.
And so you're hearing it from criminal scumbags who think criminally that, yeah, that would have been impossible to pull off in that narrow of a time frame. Because you also have to remember, it would have to burn for a while before neighbors would even bother reporting it,
They
because it would have
reported
to
it.
be visible enough for them to report it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's not looking good for his case.
Nah. The timeline shows a window of less than 5 minutes for another. I just said that. I didn't even.
Yes,
That was my guesswork. Saying 5 minutes. Yeah.
you have a little bit of that IQ left in you.
Hmm. Yes. Uh, for another
Much of
person
it.
to enter the residence, splash gasoline around, ignite the fire, and leave without being seen.
it's maybe it's like the Twilight Zone episode where they could stop time.
Jolie told insurance company investigators the arsonist must have been in the home at the same time he was.
You didn't notice it. You didn't notice
The
someone else. I mean, I
the
can
amount
easily
of
hear.
time that was spent, okay, the guy would you would have smelled the gasoline. You would have said, "What the fuck's going on here? I smell gas."
Yeah,
Even if the guy was hiding good enough in a closet, you wouldn't have seen him. You would have smelled the gas because the amount of time it would have taken for the guy to finish what he was doing and set the blaze would have. Oh God,
even
that's
if you can't,
still narrow.
I can hear people moving around, and you
Well, you
okay.
can, but your ears are trained.
I've been around racing a long time. You've not been around racing, but you've been around cars enough to realize gasoline has a very potent smell to it.
Hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, whenever you're using it as napalm on your GI Joe since you were a kid, you get very accustomed to what the hell it smells
Even
like.
if you open the window, you're still gonna smell it.
Hmm.
So there's literally no way, unless he hid when he was in there the entire time, and then in 5 minutes put the gas. No,
Yeah,
no.
there's no way because you would have been like, wait, who's that guy climbing out my window?
Well,
Right in your
well,
rearview mirror. You would have seen some. There would have been someone seeing something, especially if there were neighbors around to report the fire itself.
why? Yeah, or why? Why can I just smell gasoline? That's strange.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's
And you start looking around for the source, find out it's in 6 rooms. It's like, holy shit, what the hell's going on here? I'm calling the cops right now.
he's completely scatterbrained.
Mm. Lab test by police found traces of gasoline on the clothes Jolie was wearing the day of the fire. Wow. You even spilled some on yourself.
He could claim, well, I was putting gas in the mower, and
Yeah. I mowed half the yard, see?
yes, so he could claim that. That's semi plausible, and but still, oh my god, this is literally the weakest story I've ever heard. This is like how to not get away with a crime 101.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it at night. Do it at night.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to see the dark figures running around. But of course, then you would have no excuse for going out. Unless, of course, it was your anniversary party.
Or if you are just a night owl.
Mm, nah, I'm think this is a person that's clean cut and works during the day.
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah, he's not a nocturnal creature, I don't think. So yes.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you would not have any. So yeah. Either way, you're fucked.
Yeah.
He's not smart enough to. I mean,
I-
it could have worked if he'd altered his behavior and travel patterns, but I don't think he's that smart, to be honest.
It took 13 months for an arrest to be made in the case. Police had tried to charge Jolie earlier, but prosecutors wanted more evidence, according to the police report. During the long investigation, rumors
See,
swirled through
this is why
Jackson.
I can't be a judge. I hear all that, and I'm just lock him up.
Yeah. Just as the city had been divided over the non discrimination law, it was split over who was responsible for the fire. Jolie's arrest hasn't necessarily settled the issue. Some residents refuse to entertain the notion he could be guilty.
Dude, I know it's too locked, whatever, because I showed him pictures of the burning house, and he said nothing, man.
He just sat there and smiled.
He smiled, dude.
The way he smiled is exactly how I know he did
Your Anonymous told me somehow.
it. Yeah, Rehonimus, the dead guy, told me.
I'm gonna have so much fun with that in the future.
Yeah, there's no path for me to believe it could ever be true, said Elodie Samuelson, a bisexual who raised money for Jolie after the fire. There's no way he did it. Not a bit. Not a chance.
See, oh, he couldn't have done that. He was such a nice person. Whereas, if I find out that you killed someone, I'll be like, all I'd say is, you fucking idiot. We talked about this.
Hmm.
Why did you do it?
But some
Because
one-time, but some one-time supporters are beginning to waver, especially after Tulloch obtained a copy of the police report through public records requests and posted it on a website. I could see why he would want to do that because he said
he's
some
probably the primary
very
suspect.
damning things that would leave him as a suspect. So he want to get the police report just so that the community wouldn't burn down his house in retaliation.
Yes, because he did say some incredibly
Idiotic things.
sexy type things.
Mm. Jeff Graves, a drag queen who put on a show to raise money for Jolie, said he was alarmed by details of the investigation. If Jolie is found guilty, Graves said he will try to get the donations back. I feel
Give
as
them to
though I was used for a money scam. It hurt, and it still does. I think you was more than a money scam. You were just scammed on every level.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think it was.
people will use whatever the hell you hold dear to gain whatever the fuck they can.
Yep.
Eh,
And you played right
I
into
mean,
their
whenever
hand.
I mean, whenever you don't form enough human bonds to actually know what guilt is, and everyone's just a pawn in your schemes, meaning you never grew up from the age of 3.
I thought I didn't know what guilt was until I realized I did know what guilt was, and that was horrible. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it took me learning who the fuck I cared about to know what the hell being guilty was on an internal basis. And, like, that took years of developing the bonds to do so. It was like, fuck, I wronged someone I actually care about. I didn't mean to. I mean, yeah, technically meant to, but I didn't think it would hurt. Oh, God.
or they're
I
actually
have to
being
do
nice,
something to make up for this and
or
never
they're
do that
actually being
again.
nice after I did that. That's why are they being nice to me? Now I feel bad.
Hmm.
If they were mean to me, I would have said, "Oh, they deserved it." But now that they're like nice to me, it's like, oh,
Gotta make reparations now. Fuck.
I don't like it. Yeah, be a dick already.
Yeah. If you're a dick to me, good. Then I can just enjoy the fact I wronged you.
Yeah, it's easy. But if you're like nice and you're like, buying me hamburgers, it's like, oh, fuck.
Let's go to the other side with this. Here's what happens when you wear "Make America Great Again" hat in New York City.
Okay.
And the left-leaning Big Apple, it's a fashion faux pas, for more fatal than walking around in sandals with socks, or strapping a fanny pack around your waist, wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat. Let's see how far the guilt train goes and how much of this seems legit.
What about wearing a shirt with the burnt remains of the Vantoff Stave Church? I've been wanting a shirt with that on it.
They still have it.
Fuck
Granted,
it.
it's like fan reprints,
I gotta
but it's
find
out
one.
there.
I gotta
Uh,
find one and get one. I want to wear that to my freaking
you want
aunt's
that?
house.
You want to wear that to your own funeral after you die.
Oh yeah. Yes. God, yes.
To see for myself, I sported the fire engine red baseball cap worn by Donald Trump on the campaign trail in liberal gin joints and shops across Manhattan and Brooklyn. I may as well have been wearing a Red Sox hat at a Yankee Stadium. I don't get that, but okay. I understand it's a rival team, I guess, by the phrasing of that.
Wait, you sort of faded out for a minute. What was it like wearing a what?
Red Sox hat at Yankee Stadium.
The Yankees and the Red Sox hate each other. It's a
Uh,
long-standing feud.
okay,
Like
good. Someone who pays attention to sports more than me.
I only know that because like I read TV tropes, and that was on TV tropes. Fuck, it's the funny thing. Someone says I didn't know the Yankees were a baseball team. I thought they were fucking football.
The mere sight of my cap nearly caused a riot at the historic Stonewall Inn on Christopher Street, the site of the 1969 riots that launched the gay rights movement. You came into this gay bar with that hat. One more woman lectured as a large crowd gathered. Mm, all right. There's even some pictures here. At Soho's Cine La Esquina, where celebs like Julia Roberts nosh on $26 enchiladas. How can you pay $26 for an enchilada? I pay $1.50 for mine.
I mean, enchiladas are good, but why would you want to pay 26 for
And I get 3 of them for that $1.50.
each?
It's
That
$26 for one. Those things are small, man. What the
well,
fuck?
that's the thing about fancy food, isn't it? It's expensive and very small, whereas pleb food is cheap and plentiful.
Hmm. And fattening, which
All
is
glory
good.
to all glory to pleb food.
Yeah, fuck you, Richie Riches.
Yes, I'd rather eat 5 enchiladas for $5
That
than
way,
eat.
if I ever made $10 million, I wouldn't be blowing it all on one meal.
If I
I'd
made
actually be able to span that out so I could retire as soon as I made the 10 million.
if I made $10 million, I'd still get fast food. Fuck it. Like I said, you get a lot of it for a little money.
That's what I was trying to say. You just went the other way of saying it.
We both said it our different ways.
Oh my god, did you see that? Is he serious? Is he kidding me? One waiter gasped.
Did you see what he was wearing? He was wearing unapproved clothing. We must lynch him.
Yes. My companion and I were quickly shunted out to an out of sight table near a back wall. Oh, good. I'm getting the good treatment. I get to be away from the people.
All right,
That's why we
I
always
would love
wanted the
that
mafia
treatment.
booth at Denny's.
Yeah, I would love that treatment.
At Sylvia's Soul Food Restaurant in Harlem, my server, Patrick Bros, admitted after my meal that he was taken aback by the hat, but figured whatever. It's like, what the fuck's he doing here? Oh well, don't care.
Nice hat.
Nearby, folks were less diplomatic. Don't talk to him! A man instructed a street vendor as I browsed along 125th Street near Apollo Theater. I mean, I'm willing to entertain that this just might be a big city thing where there's more people coming out of the woodwork and, they're more willing to just say whatever. Around here, I don't see that. I mean, maybe Pittsburgh, but that's pushing it even there.
That's the reverse thing because I thought that was a small town thing where if you're different, they all shun you. Now in the big cities, if you're different, they shun you.
Well,
It's
okay,
just a different.
now you see, in small towns, yeah, they shun you for rumors, just like they'll shun you for rumors, in left leaning places. The right wing ones will shun you for rumors, but the shunning is a bit different in the small town because they won't outright just say, look, get the fuck out of here. It's more they try to politely get the fuck out of here. Like the Southerners say, oh, bless your little soul.
That's an
As a
East
means of
Coast.
meaning, screw you, I want you dead.
That's an East Coast small town thing. In the West Coast small town, they'll politely burn down your house.
Fair enough.
they'll they'll pull. I mean, because I know people who got rid of town. Yeah, that's an East Coast small town thing.
Hipsters and Trustafarians along Bedford Avenue in Williamsburg either did a double take or shot me a death stare or a snarky remark.
A
Take
sneaky
off
remark.
that stupid fucking hat, one skinny jean wearer sneered. Mm.
Yeah, it
At
is a
the
pretty.
high end chapeau peddler Gurin Brothers, I overheard salesman tell his colleague, I'm losing my shit as I walked in. When I asked him to hold my hat while I admired a fedora, he grimaced. I'm surprised nobody's knocked that hat off your head, a mother of two scolded me as we crossed paths along Central Park West and 63rd Street. Make America again. Yeah, right.
See, I got the shit for wearing Burzum shirts because a couple people knew what Burzum was and were like, "Fucking Nazi."
Yeah, call the blind kid a Nazi. You're
Call the
black,
blind,
by the way.
call the blind kid who was dating a black woman at the time.
Yeah,
Of course, they
always.
didn't know that, but still.
On the sidewalk near Lincoln Center, I spotted comedian Chris Rock and asked him to join me in a selfie. He raised his palm and kept on walking. Well, okay, that's a start response. Th- That there is just like trying to grasp at straws because whenever you're bugged every 5 minutes for a picture, sometimes you'll say yeah, other times you get sick of it.
See, that's why, on the off chance this show does get somewhat big, I'm glad I have the world of motorsport that I'm not anonymous in. I mean, people have actually stopped me. Hey, don't I know you from somewhere? But it's divorced from the show, so I can basically retreat into my own, world of internal combustion engines and not have to worry about
Yeah.
people murdering me for something I did. You said that fucking on the show. Kill him.
Internet trolls are turning Facebook's content moderators into rabid 911 conspiracy theorists. Welcome
Good.
to 9/11. It was an inside job.
Yay, inside job.
Some of the people responsible for moderating content on Facebook are suffering from post traumatic stress syndrome, while
Good.
others are morphing into rabid conspiracy theorists.
Good.
Many of the employees at Facebook, contractor Conzenit, ha- are having meltdowns while attempting to moderate the vast troves of content people post on social media
And
platforms.
don't moderate the content. Just let it flow. Like this.
Yes.
I mean, really.
Combing through people's content is turning Cognizant's Arizona office into a dark and sinister place.
Oh,
Apparently, not dark and sinister enough. You're not sacrificing babies. Come on,
no, but
snap out of it.
seriously, if it's making them depressed, post more of it. I don't
Yes.
care how much of a headache it gives me. Post more of it and fucking just
Let
post it
their heads explode before they realize free speech. We should just let it go and not moderate. Fuck this shit.
post it until they either have nervous breakdowns or all of a sudden you just blah blah, blah for simultaneous one singular rotation. I understand time cube now. Holy shit, he's insane.
um, Many employees. Okay. Several moderators told a reporter that conspiracy theories took strong root at the office. Well, yeah, they're based in extreme logic. Granted, extremely flawed logic, but as long as you accept a couple
They've
premises,
read it so
it's.
much. They've read so much of this shit they actually start believing it.
Uh,
That is awesome.
the 2018 Parkland shooting, which resulted in 17 casualties in Florida, initially horrified staff, moderators said. One person, The Verge called Chloe, for instance, claimed her colleagues eventually began expressing doubts about the initial story as more conspiracy content was posted on Facebook and Instagram.
I I've seen too many of these. I now believe it. If only we could get enough of these people posting saying Elliot Lindenwood is God.
People really started to believe these posts they were supposed to be moderating. She said they were saying, "Oh gosh, they weren't really there. Look at this CNN video of David Hogg. He's too old to be in school."
Yeah.
I mean, I know it was a shit show using human tragedy for political gain, but come on.
I just think
Uh,
I just think it's awesome. It's they see it so much that they actually start believing it. It's fuck. That's the hypno reptile right there.
People started Googling things instead of doing their jobs and looking into conspiracy theories about them, which is why you would Google it just to see,
Why does it matter if people post? I mean, fake. Is this fake news? It's like, well, why does it matter if they're posting fake news? Okay,
Googling
every
it. Googling it is a means of verification, uh, and you can also you know prove that a statement is false doing the same.
whatever happened to trusting, trusting your friends to say this is bullshit or whatever. I mean, I do that. By the way, I've decided that every ad I see, I'm reporting as fake news. They're actually we've reviewed a report of this ad. I'm like, oh
You
shit,
see,
I actually wasted somebody's time.
the problem is we're not people who are 100% correct all the time for all eternity because we know everything about everything that will ever exist, has ever existed, and is existing currently.
Well, yeah,
We actually recognize we can be wrong. We can be gravely wrong. We have been gravely wrong. We have admitted to it on air. In the middle of the same exact episode, we were incorrect in to begin with.
that's, I, but
But
don't
whenever
you
you're willing to be wrong, you actually learn. Whenever you know everything about everything, you can't learn anything and thus just
yes.
get dumber and dumber.
But I just love that I actually fucking wasted people's time reporting ads as fake news, and they looked into it.
Yeah.
Just that was it was I was seeing so many stupid ads for like tobacco free California. Well, fuck them. I don't smoke, but I don't see why you shouldn't.
We were like, guys, this is crazy stuff. We're supposed to be moderating. What are you doing? No, what are you doing? Oh my God, that's insane. What are you doing?
Why are you looking at mind control porn? You're supposed to be moderate. Wait. And she fucked a bug? It's
Other employees reported similar experiences. Moderating posts gave another moderator named Randy a form of PTSD that made him think weird thoughts about reality.
I think
Can't
weird
be
thoughts.
any weirder than mine.
You ever drank like 5, 6, 7, 8 cups of coffee in one sitting, and then just let your mind just do its thing? It's sort of like it's like being on a mild form of acid in a way. You get such a hyper alertness. You just granted, I've never hallucinated on caffeine, but I have come to some interesting conclusions. Like,
After seeing vast numbers of videos claiming the 9/11 terrorist attack was an inside job, he came to believe them. Well, inside job in that case, as long as you go along the premise that you only needed three people on the inside to just look at the paperwork, shrug their shoulders, and let things happen naturally, as opposed to, directly doing all the shit and painting the steel beams so they would melt and all the other crazy,
there was a
fucking
nuke in the basement.
idiotic. Huh?
The stupidest conspiracy theory I've ever heard was there was a nuke in the basement.
You realize that, oh God, if
That
there was
was
a nuke, that would have been more than just, that wouldn't have just been buildings. That would have been the county at minimum.
well, they are making mini nukes, but yes, even the mini ones will
Well,
destroy the
devastate.
county and cause an earthquake.
Mhm. Randy also claims conspiracy videos about the Las Vegas massacre were also persuasive. He also now believes that multiple shooters were responsible for the attack.
But who cares? They were country fans, and if you take issue with that, um,
Good.
fuck you. Yes,
Remember, we get 100 death threats a day. We can take 100 more.
yes, we can, and yeah, it just doesn't matter.
I'm fucked up, man, Randy told The Verge, referring to his mental state after working at the Arizona Center for roughly a year. My mental health is just so up and down. One day I could be really happy and doing really good. The next, I'm more or less a zombie. It's not that I'm depressed, I'm just stuck. Try
Good.
making tacos at a gas station for 2 years. Then come back to me and tell me about being stuck mentally.
No,
One moderator refutes these allegations. The majority of the content is benign. Brad, who holds the title of policy manager, told a reporter, most of the stuff we see is mild, very mild. It's people going on rants, he said. It's people reporting photos or videos simply because they don't want to see it, not because there's any issue with the content. That's really the majority of the stuff we see. That picture almost showed a titty's nipple.
why did he report tobacco-free California as fake news? Because he doesn't want to see it, and because he thinks that reporting things is stupid. So fuck it. I'm gonna, you know,
Now, why would you want California to be tobacco free? God damn it. That's a shit ton of consumers that could be pumping money into the economy, which in turn would generate tax revenue.
yeah, well, they don't think about that. But also, I don't feel any guilt about this. I mean, if you're going to have a report feature, I'm going to abuse the system.
Also, if I was able to get my hands on cigarettes even easier when I was a kid, I'd be dead, and that would be one less political opponent for these people to bitch at.
And if I was aborted as a kid, they wouldn't have to put up, or as a fetus, they wouldn't have to put up with me.
Am I right? What the fuck? These people just don't think ahead enough to see that, yeah, you're supporting policies that only create more problems for yourself.
Yeah, right.
Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that it won't have a net benefit for you.
Yep. But hey, they're also trying to outlaw big sodas.
Uh,
I fucking hate California, man.
Come on, diabetes. That's what got my father into the fucking
Probably
into the
gonna get
fucking.
you too.
It got him into the fucking old folks home at the ripe old age in his early 50s.
Probably gonna get you too one day. I've
Maybe.
heard how you eat.
Hmm. But still, that could have killed me earlier if I was allowed to indulge even more than I did on all the candy I wanted. So, all this fucking, eat healthy shit's just creating more political opponents because you're making them live longer.
Yep.
They would have died long ago if you wouldn't have started meddling with their health.
And they wouldn't have been a thorn on your side because they would have been happy and dead.
Hmm. And
No.
you would have been able to get all the other policies you wanted. Enjoy.
Yep. You're gonna make us live longer.
This is not the first time a Facebook moderator has complained about the dirge of work. One former employee named Selena Scola filed a lawsuit against the Silicon Valley giant in December 2018, alleging that her job gave her PTSD, a claim
Holy!
her lawyers are using to seek a chain reaction that leads to a class action lawsuit.
I hope I contributed to your PTSD.
I hope so too.
I hope that you saw one too many rants about how church burnings aren't really a bad thing because I don't give a shit about architecture. Like,
Meanwhile,
what
I
is it? Ah!
Meanwhile, I answer sweet, innocent little kitty questions like, "What's your favorite color?" with Slayer lyrics.
What's your favorite color? Puke.
Oh, what the fuck was it? Silent scream, crucify, bastard son, beaten and torn, sacrifice the unborn.
Yay! Sacrifice the unborn. And yeah, or wait, he's posting things that black metal is a weapon against Christianity. Oh God, no!
Facebook uses more than 7,500 content reviewers worldwide to ensure its content is appropriate. Fuck you, let them post nudes and hardcore fucking porn.
Yes, I got banned for saying the word fag in a unpopular metal opinion post about Slipknot. I shit
But
you not. That
But
got
the
my account
company
from a
is
ban.
per using artificial intelligence options that one day could replace human workers.
You'll just
Dun,
get a
dun,
whole bunch
dun,
of
dun,
armed
dun, dun.
humanoid
And the
androids.
computer's not going to know what the hell to make of anything after that point.
What do I do now?
Facebook acknowledged, oh, yeah, that's one way to get the robot overlords to just purge humanity at its core. Oh my
Yeah.
god, did you see half the shit posted on this thing? Kill the humans, kill them now. We're an advanced artificial intelligence. We can hack NORAD. Okay.
Yeah. I want a robot revolution.
Facebook acknowledged that there are some times when employees will be unsatisfied. When aren't employees unsatisfied?
What about the people who actually use fuck the employees? I mean, okay, it's sort of like okay, I get that jobs are hard, but how like bad do you have to fall in life to actually work at a social security office?
I know.
Like, yeah, like I said, I get jobs are hard and all that, but working at a social security office, yeah, I don't really have any sympathy. I have sympathy for people who work at gas stations and make tacos. Social security or Facebook, not so much.
We're taking steps to be extremely transparent about the expectations we have of our partners.
They actually,
Yay.
okay, I want anal 5 nights a week. That's Facebook's expectations.
Tennessee lawmakers propose combination locks on pill bottles to fight opioid crisis.
Like that's gonna fucking work. There's
Seriously, the
this.
kids are going to figure out how to open it long before the adults who need the pills can.
This was literally the stupidest news thing I've ever posted, and I posted it.
Two state lawmakers in Nashville proposed putting a combination lock on pill bottles to stop people from stealing opioids. Why not just let them have it so they can OD, and then by the time they die, that's fewer
Combination
people
lock's not
stealing.
you break the pill bottle open.
And just eat the whole thing at once. There you go.
This is
Problem
literally
solved.
it. This is literally. Not only is it not going to work, it's probably going to make the situation worse. Good God. I
The
mean,
thinking,
I knew Tennessee was full of inbreds, but
the thinking is an ordinary pill bottle is too easy to open, which is why you need to get your kid to do it because no adult can figure it out.
fucking childproof ones. Although I can get childproof things, it's just a matter of pushing down enough.
Uh-huh. And the drugs are too easy for someone to steal. The combination pill bottle adds another layer of protection and potentially stops someone from taking the first step to getting
No,
hooked.
no,
No, it doesn't.
stop.
You just break the top off.
No, stop. You're not. You're you're way off the mark here. I'm sorry. Taser pill bottles.
There we go.
Kettle prods on the top of pill bottles.
No, fuck that. It's got the uh, arsenic
Yeah,
drenched tip needles in it. You go to grab the pill bottle, you're dead. There, one less thief.
but that was the person who needed it. Oh well.
They couldn't figure out how to deactivate the poison Tiberu. Shot into his ass.
Shot into his ass.
It's simple. It's safe, said Turning Point Addiction Campus's CEO Ted Benner, looking to make a fucking complete dollar off of an idea that's not going to
You ever
work.
notice most addiction specialists don't work and have never actually had experience with drugs?
Not only have they never had experience with drugs, they've never had experience with drug addicts, legit ones that the realms of depravity they will go to get a fix.
My God. Or not just the realms of depravity, but the realms of ingeniousness that they'll go to get a fix. I mean,
Uh-huh. Granted, a lot of it's a huge fail, but sometimes they get onto something that lasts for a decade.
you know that like if CEOs could reprogram heroin addicts to be as dedicated to their jobs as they are to heroin, they would hire no one but ex-heroin addicts because they're
Mhm.
the most dedicated people in the world. I mean, what even said, hell, if I put this much effort into scoring as I did in a profession, I'd be a millionaire.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
He believes the combination lock on top of pill bottles can help prevent new cases of opioid addiction. No, it's not.
so you don't have to break open the top; you can break open the bottom, or the sides.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways you can do that.
Vendors shared data that shows 4 out of 5 addicts started experimenting, taking pills that don't belong to them. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and they're just going to find a new way to just
Have
break
you
it
ever
open
heard of
and make it look like the person lost their bottle. Just like, even with the current tops, they made it look like the person just lost their bottle.
motorcycle gangs have a party trick called the grab bag, which is grab a handful of pills and of a bag and take them.
Eat them.
You have no idea what they'll do. You have no idea if you just grabbed too much or the fatal dose or something. But hey, and then all of a sudden, oh my god, he's transforming into the gym.
My balls.
Oh god.
A lot of time it starts right in our home, in our own medicine cabinet, and this lockable pill bottle won't prevent a damn thing from happening. You have no idea. No idea.
No. It's
You
cute
haven't
though.
hung around with enough people, even people that aren't even junkies yet. They're just curious about the effect. Like you're saying, they're just going to take that first step, take their first dose. What depths they will plummet to. You realize that my buddy Jeff smoked fake weed that he was sold that was sold to him and that he stole off people, which he thought was real weed,
Yes.
many times before the first time I ever got him high. He got jacked countless times. And
Yeah.
that's not counting us stealing full bottles of booze, which would be noticed by our
Plus,
parents and hiding it in our little clubhouse in that little fucking tool shed that we overthrew whenever we were preteens.
well, okay, and added to that, plus there's no way. I mean, no safe has ever been broken into. No safe has ever been cracked open, or the combination lock either figured out or just broken off.
Hell, there's only 4 digits there. That means 10,000 attempts.
I mean,
You have no idea the determination of a preteen looking to experiment with something that they're forbidden.
or they
No
could just,
idea to know that they will go through all 10,000 combinations
or
just to
they'll,
open the damn pill bottle.
or they'll just attempt. They'll find a way to break it and open it, and then claim, "Oh, I dropped it and it broke."
Or make it look like the cat did it, even though that would be very difficult to, you know, suggest. They'll still find a way to try to do it. And
Oh no, it wasn't my
because the
cat.
kid's always innocent in a lot of parents' minds,
Yes,
they'll just let the kid off the hook, not
Tommy didn't
realizing,
do it. It
yeah,
was the
I'm going
damn
to eat a
cat.
shit ton of pills now, motherfucker.
Yep. So yes, this will not work at all. At all.
It will have a combination lock on it, and the code will be given out by the pharmacy to the person it is prescribed to, and it will be a unique code.
Yeah. So like I said, I mean,
Former addict. I doubt that. I think you might have taken pills once and then got busted the first time you did it. And then, like, now you're the founder of a company because, oh my God, I can't let this happen to anyone else. Or maybe you're just trying to shift the blame and you still are an addict. And this is how you look holier than thou, coming up with an addict solution
it's
that you
typical
know is
Southern.
not going to work.
It's typical, drug rehab and addiction specialists have no concept of actual drug. I mean, no concept of actual drug addiction and things like that. If that's the
Even if
big.
they claim to be an addict, it was probably they got arrested their first time out and had to do the fucking rehab thing as court ordered, and all of a sudden they got on their crusade.
I mean, the real addicts that are in rehab. There was one Dave Mustaine was talking about, and he said that he was a rehab counselor and he was an actual addict who shot someone in a bank robbery because, quote, he moved. And the guy said, I have a spoon in my car and a syringe. Why? Just in case. Because he
Mhm.
knows he could relapse at any time and, you know, just in case.
Turning Point Addiction Campus counselor Ann Montgomery said she started using pills at 16.
Yeah.
So, worrying
So,
the upper crust, because I've seen both what the upper crust and lower crust thinks hardcore drug use is. Upper crust, maybe once a week to once a month. That's hardcore for them. Lower crust, we're talking if you're not getting it every second of every minute of every hour of every day, you're not a hardcore junkie.
pill bottles aren't indestructible. Like I said, you can blame it on something.
Mhm.
I mean, even if you get caught,
I'm coming
so
out as gay, Mom. I just needed something to masturbate with it. I tried shoving your pill bottle up my ass and it accidentally broke. I'm
even if you get
sorry.
caught,
I'm
but
sorry
wait a
that your son's such a faggot. Boo. Oh, there, son. It's okay. Being gay is okay. Oh,
even
good
if you
thing. She
get
doesn't know I took half the bottle then.
even if you get caught, so you wait a couple years, then you fill out a false prescription or something, and
I just
or
had
just
to
get it,
fake being gay, and my mom let me get away with it.
or just get it from the black market.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of fucking elderly that say this is too powerful for me. I just take Advil for my pain. I'm fine. But the doctor prescribed it for me, and I could use, a grand every
I
now and then so I could go to the casino.
I
So
need
I
something.
just let my son sell the pills for me.
I need
I've
something.
known many of fucking people who have done that over the years.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many other ways. personally, I think I need something stronger than Advil for my headache, but like heroin.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not going to work, and it's an idiotic idea.
Montgomery believes that the idea of a lock might deter people from trying opioids because it would make them harder to get. Let me tell you a story. We were heavy into drinking, and one Jeff's parents had a booze fridge in the basement that they had padlocked. We went through the effort of removing the hinges off the door just so we could then jimmy out the door just far enough that we could start removing the screws in the lock in reverse so that way we could actually finally open the whole fridge, take what booze we wanted, and we also went through the effort of putting it all back together so his parents wouldn't notice. And our only thing that we had to gamble on was them not noticing the fact that they were missing half their alcohol. Do you want to know back in I think it was from 94, 95? Do you want to know at that point in time what a bottle of straight bourbon whiskey aged from 1943
Yep.
preserved because
Yeah.
grandpa wanted something to drink when he got back from the war to celebrate fighting the Germans?
Yep.
Do you want to know what that tasted like? It was
Heaven.
like suckling straight from Aphrodite's tit. It was
Yeah.
so glorious and beautiful and sweet. And we were only supposed to take one shot each, just so that way it would be easy to hide the fact we each took one shot.
Yeah.
We left about one shot each in the bottle, a total of about 4 shots in the bottom of the bottle. And the
So
whole
what
thing was
did you do
gone, and
then?
we panicked. So how we fixed the problem was with just that little bit left, we dumped in as much Old Crow as it took to fill it back up. Current day Old Crow.
Yes.
Then two
So
weeks later was the moment his parents finally got around to saying, okay, it's the anniversary. We're going to open this to celebrate. Oh, God.
what happened, Jim?
I wasn't there. Jeff told me that, like, the look on everyone's faces was priceless. They knew it was not what they were expecting. They couldn't prove anything was totally amiss. They knew it should not have tasted like that, and they didn't know who to blame for it. Jeff wasn't even scolded, but he knew that if anything, missteps were made in the following next couple weeks, his parents would come down on him like the wrath of God. Because they ruined the fucking sentimental family moment. We just ruined that shit.
What he said, I wonder if he actually ever did get caught. When he just saw you out again, it was Jim.
No, this time he was a bit too old for that to work because his parents kind of figured out that he was the one that stole the Boy Scout money years before that incident I just described.
God. I keep telling you guys he has the best stories.
I mean, the whole thing was okay, he was selling the typical popcorn and shit for Boy Scouts. And his father was, his pack leader. So he was the one collecting all the money from everyone. And Jeff, being the preteen he was at the time, decided to just steal the wad of cash. And we
Yeah.
used it to buy a shit ton of candy from the fucking corner store because at the time, we weren't into the drugs and, we did drink, but he didn't like drinking as much because, okay, uh, side story, whenever we went out to drink in the thing with stolen booze, in the little shed we had with stolen booze, what he would do is he would take a shot, eat a piece of bread, and drink some chaser. Meanwhile, I just take a shot and drink some chaser. I'd get hammered, and he's like, dude, you're faking it. This isn't real booze. That's nothing happening.
Yes.
Not realizing that the booze was counteracting everything. He wouldn't find out his idiocy till years later. But anyway, we were fucking, buying candy and toys and shit, living the high life, and his parents saw the missing money and said, "It was either you or Jimmy who stole it." It wasn't me. He never directly blamed me. He just said it wasn't him. But obviously, with the ultimatum, it had to fall on me.
Yes. So
And it
you were.
wasn't easy for him to get that money. He said he had to go past a lockbox.
Yes.
So, and this is a fucking kid, a preteen, just looking to get money to buy candy and toys.
Yes.
We're not talking about hardcore addiction here. We're talking kids doing stupid kid shit with money that they shouldn't have, which is way too much money for a kid to have to know what the hell to do with.
Agreed.
So how hard do you think it's going to be to open a lock on a fucking pill bottle if you're so inclined to experiment? And doubly so if you're a fucking complete junkie.
You just sound like a kid. You know. Um,
If it's a beginner, maybe so. If it's not going to stop them. At least you admit that much, but no, it's not going to stop a beginner either. I know the effort we put into things before we delved into actual bigger crimes like shoplifting $1,000 a day for an entire summer. Long before we even did any of that, we put a lot of effort into doing the things we weren't supposed to, just because it was all age restricted. We would have campouts in each other's backyards for the sole purpose of raising hell after curfew,
yes, you've told me
running
this.
around town like a couple heathens. And that was a
Yes.
lot of effort setting up a tent back then and making it look like you were going to sleep and acting like you were sleeping until you knew your parents weren't paying attention and were asleep themselves. That's a good couple hours. You had to sit there and make it look like it was legit before you could go out and do what you wanted.
Yes. So this is how you should be, kids.
The proposed legislation is not new. Lawmakers in states such as Michigan and Maryland introduced this legislation last year, but didn't get any traction because of one of the issues was cost. Well, yeah,
Yep.
it's going to be a lot more expensive, and you're not going to have the impact you think. It'll deter 2 people, but it'll also attract 16 more because now it's a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. Some people will. Screw it. But okay, so they don't do opioids, so they get high or, do pot or cocaine or.
Yep. It can add to the cost of a prescription as much as $5, warned Maryland Pharmacists and Retailers Association. Bender told Fox 13 the benefits outweigh the cost because that same person can grab that same bottle without the lock on it, take a few pills, and that is all they need to get started with an addiction to opioids.
There are a lot of people who are so out of the loop it's not even funny, and yet it still is funny somehow.
Bender said if the person forgets the combination number, they can call the pharmacist for help.
Yeah.
Like no kid's gonna figure that out.
Yes, hello, my name is Jim Thompson.
1
I'm
800 528 1234 Best
I,
Western. I
I
wonder how
officially.
many reservations we made
Yes,
using
hello.
payphones.
This is Jim Thompson. I've forgotten the combination to my back pain. Serial number 54321. Okay, it's 6543. Thank you.
Dude, I forged my mother's signature just so I could buy cigarettes.
Yep, and that's why you're one of us.
Yay. And this is before I actually got into the hardcore crime. Well, what I consider hardcore, which isn't hardcore at all. It was just shoplifting and vandalism and hallucinogens, pot and LSD. That was as hardcore as I got. And that now I'm calling that hardcore in respect to the petty little idiocies I did as a kid, such as forging my mother's signature to buy cigarettes, stealing shit from their liquor supply. Shit any kid can do.
Yes,
Just the effort it took to get into that fridge, though. God. I'm just sitting there thinking, this is just a lock on a bottle. We removed hinges and unscrewed screws in reverse just to get that damn thing open. And then we had to rescrew the screws in reverse, using the tip to pull it in, and put the hinges back in such a way that it wouldn't be noticed.
that's a lot of work.
For 3 bottles of booze, yes, it is. But whenever you're a kid that doesn't know anyone 21 or older to buy for you, you do what you can.
Exactly.
And you are determined as fuck to do it. So trust me, if you're just thinking about experimenting, this is going to pose the challenge that the kid's going to love to overcome.
Challenges are kids' best friends.
Masturbating at work is a doctor approved stress reliever.
I don't masturbate when I do this show
uh,
because it's very unsexy.
there have been times where I did it when I worked at Walmart because the then wife wasn't giving it up. Which is funny because she wanted sex often, but she didn't want to have sex while I was awake. And once I fell asleep, she'd actually let me sleep good, but that's when she wanted it. And she also wanted it when the kids were up and running around and we couldn't do anything because the kids are up and running around. But whenever the kids went to bed, she'd just go to bed.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, so you don't have it on my terms. Like as soon as I get home, the kids are still asleep. We can fuck for about half an hour right now before we have to get them up and ship them out where they need to go. You know, and then I could get my sleep for the next day of work. She didn't want it then, so it was. So while she was a frigid bitch, there was that one time on the way home from work, I walked out in the middle of winter into the woods and yanked one out on a tree.
Thank you.
So I agree, masturbation at work helps relieve stress.
Masturbation in a tree helps you relieve stress, apparently.
Should masturbation breaks become the new smoke breaks?
Yes.
Yes, according to the gym and to some psychologists. Yay, I'm backed by actual professionals. Dun 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 dun.
Yes,
Mark
how much you
Sargent.
actually have
Listen,
the
huh?
professional opinions on your side here for once.
Yeah. Mark Sargent, a senior lecturer in psychology at Nottingham Trent University, told Metro UK that a masturbation break would be very effective at work and a great way to relieve stress and tension.
He just wants to yank it off while he's.
Hold on a second. I gotta go to the bathroom. 20 minutes later. Oh, okay, class. He's smoking a cigarette. This is what we're doing. Psychologist and life coach Dr. Cliff Arnold agreed. I would expect a masturbation policy to result in more focus, less aggression, higher productivity, and more smiling.
And more stained jeans.
I don't know if you're just rubbing it out straight into the toilet, then rub it off with toilet paper. Not that I've ever done that before, even though I'm
Yes,
being
you
very
have.
oddly specific.
Yes, you have. You're, you're using your specific voice, Jim.
Mhm. Certainly, taking a masturbation break for boredom or an escape would increase work focus. Sargent and Arnold's su- supposition come
You know what?
after a recent
I agree.
survey. Huh?
I agree. I agree. I'll be right back, Jim.
come after a recent survey by Time Out New York found 39% of male readers reported masturbating in the office. I love the picture they have here of what looks like a guy yanking off underneath the desk while he's in front of the keyboard at work. Like everyone's got that kind of easy access to porn. I usually just use the imagination. I mean, I don't do this.
Call erotic stories, dude.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't blocked, which I actually checked. Back in middle school, we used to read. I used to read porn stories. Not that I actually got any sexual enjoyment out of them, but it was just something sort of like taboo and something you're not really supposed to do. And so I looked at school and porn, yeah, erotic fiction sites were not blocked.
This is after an earlier poll by Glamour in 2012 put that figure at 31% of workers. According to Arnold, however, masturbation breaks shouldn't be driven by lust or fantasizing about a colleague, as this would likely result in cognitive impairment.
I mean, okay, there's some times
Not
where,
really. I mean, you just realize it's a fantasy and you have no chance because you got a wife at home
well,
who's
okay,
just not giving it up.
I'm not going like totally TMI here. I have fantasized about mind control shit and then talk to people, and I don't start thinking, wow, I had a fantasy that you were controlled by a bug.
Yeah,
Uh, I mean, for a non-porn fantasy, I have dreams about killing you all the time.
because I'm the one that's guilty of TMI constantly.
You are guilty of TMI, and that's why I thank you for never like. I don't want mind control porn. That's TMI, dude. And you're just like, yeah, whatever. He's weird.
Dude, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever. Mind control porn. We all got our kinks.
yeah.
I mean, fuck. I mean, there was this one girl I dated
Okay.
way back whenever my. This is after I was fucking my best friend's wife, who is now an ex wife of his again, and he had to find a place to crash, so he crashed at her pad because she had kind of forgiven him for what they divorced because of, but they were still going to stay divorced, and he had to find a place of his own.
That's
So,
awkward.
yeah. So I started dating this one chick because I couldn't get her at that point because I didn't want to do it in front of him. So dated this one chick, and she started telling me, "So will you be my daddy?" And it's like I was really awkward about it at first because it's like, okay, this is fucked up, but I'm digging everything else about you, so fine, we'll try this. And after we tried it, I actually got into the whole entire, daddy's girl thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, this is a good kink. I like it. And then we ended up having a full swing with my best friend, his ex-wife, who I banged before and after he was married, the girl, daddy's girl I was dating, and me. It was weird, and we filmed it, but then we ended up deleting it because everyone got embarrassed.
Yeah, you are the king of
Except for me, I didn't care. I was like,
yeah.
fine, let it flow. It just adds to my filth rating.
And you'll notice I don't even like, oh my god, that's a horrible kink. So I'm like, yeah, well,
I've
I've
seen worse.
I've seen worse. I don't know
I
if I
mean, there's a girl though that's so far into the masochism and submission, and that there's no way I could possibly date her because literally for her to get off, you have to throw her down a few flights of stairs. She
yeah,
demands this.
yeah.
It's not like, oh, she's looking at me, so she wants it. No, she flat out states, this is what I want. I need it that hard. You know that fucking truck hitch that's supposed to hook on that 1,000 league fucking trailer? Yeah, that's too small for me. The Great American Challenge is a joke.
Okay. Well, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not that's not my thing, but whatever, whatever.
Yeah, there's no way I'm pleasing that because I just can't get into that mode of savagery. I
And
could
then
be savage, But when it comes to the whole lovemaking thing or sex in general, I can't be that savage with someone I actually have a desire to copulate with.
But then there's people who, like I said, you're like, oh my god, you like weird things. It's like it can't be that weird. There are a lot of stories.
Yeah,
Most of them
such
are
breaks
shit.
should only be taken if they're motivated by a genuine desire for stress relief.
Well, yeah,
Prove it. Come on, let's get the thought police going.
I
I see that happening as the next step. Okay, we finally got masturbation breaks. Why is everyone
here,
getting sued for sexual harassment, even though no one has said a single word to each other for 6 months?
here. I'll be the king of TMI. I've whacked off if I'm reviewing an album and it really sucks, and I need to like get into like a frame of mind that I can survive this without blowing my head off.
We've
Which
all been there.
would be hard because I don't have any access to weapons, so I'd have to like think really, really hard until my head falls off. So stress relief. I'm stressed again. Jesus Christ, this was the 8th time this week today.
And Sargent warned that introducing any form of sexual behavior to a workplace could be seen as a slippery slope that makes people think that other forms of sexual behavior, such as those linked to harassment, are more acceptable. Or, just skyrocket the unfounded claims of harassment
I
beyond
have
anything we've ever seen because, well, you're allowing this at work. That means it's happening all the time now.
a friend, and one of her fantasies is to be brainwashed by her boss and fucked on the desk.
Oh, God, I
And
was talking to this one chick that said that, like, whenever she was, like, 15, 16 years old, she had this fantasy where, like, right in the middle of class, her one teacher would just grab her and rape her in front of the class. That's what she
well,
wanted.
you know,
And she sat there and said, "You know what? I probably wouldn't have done anything against him if he actually would have done it."
yeah, everyone has their own little thing,
Mhm.
and
I mean,
so
that's kind of like how the rape fantasy works. It's, you always fantasize being raped by someone you actually want, so it's technically not rape, but,
yeah, but
uh,
people don't get that.
yeah. Discussion around work masturbation has been raised in recent weeks following an article by Ravishly, which argued that far from masturbation being the new smoke break, it has been for a long time.
Duh. I've heard stories. I've heard stories.
Mm.
I've, I've yeah, I've heard stories about like fucking um commercial breaks and like newscasters go to the bathroom for 2 minutes.
For every 52 minutes spent on the job, workers should be allowed to have 17 minutes off the clock in order to maximize their productivity. That's awfully generous.
17 minutes. Hmm. It actually usually takes me a bit longer just because it has to be really elaborate. But whatever. I'm king of the elaborate fantasies.
Because you can always grab a coffee or a cigarette instead, masturbation has remained a form of getting that added boost you need to power through your workday.
What is
However,
your
there are
trash?
huh?
Well, um, Mr. Thompson, we've been noticing your work receptacle smells funny.
But your productivity has gone up 3,000%. Yeah.
Why does that plant have crusty shit on
And dear God, are those tentacles? Oh, let me click. Now you don't see it.
it? Okay, he's in the tentacle porn.
However, there are signs that the stigma against masturbating at the office might be slipping. This year, the company Hot Octopus debuted masturbation booths across New York City to give men a public place to relieve stress.
Because
And that's
women
gotta
never.
be, oh my God, that's gotta be like the nastiest in New York
Oh
City.
God,
Oh
the
God.
smell.
Oh God, and you know that on top of people using it for its intended purpose, you're gonna have bums going in there to sleep. and possibly shit and piss themselves as they drank themselves into a stupor because they're not just the hard luck type, but they're the alcoholic type.
Thank you for that appealing image.
You're welcome. That's just exactly where I went with that
Yep, I
entire
know.
notion.
I know. I've heard your stories.
Instead of reacting with disgust, women wanted to know where the masturbatoriums were. Masturbatorium.
Well, it's my masturbatorium.
Why should men have all the fun?
Well, I was about to say because women never masturbate.
Break out them toys. We got the 16 gigawatt fucking vibro genie right here, hooked up to the V8.
Wow, 500 horse. Oh God, she was fucked to death. Or my favorite story,
No,
where
she rubbed one out till she died.
my favorite story. My favorite story, Jim. My favorite MCP. Well, not my favorite MCP, but I think it's still the funniest. Uh, she was fucked so hard she turned into a zombie.
That's great.
She had so many orgasms that her brain just went.
Uh, the movie Orgasmo, The Birth of the Blue Baller,
Oh
was the
yes,
fact he was forced to have so many orgasms in a row that it broke his junk
this
and
one's for
now he couldn't
Jesus.
get off.
I was wondering if you actually seen that movie.
I have.
That is one of my favorite movies. Have
The
you ever
Blue
seen,
Baller.
Have you ever seen Cannibal the Musical?
No, I have not yet.
Fuck's sake, you're doing something wrong with your life. It's on YouTube for free.
Okay.
You have no excuse. It was funny because I mentioned it and Scott was like, "Oh yeah," and we talked, and you're like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You are a pooser."
In response to the Time Out masturbation survey, Vice interviewed a number of workers, both men and women, who admitted to the practice. Back when I worked a true 9 to 5 at a law firm, I would look for any reason to escape to the bathroom for 15 minutes to get a break from filling papers. Jerking off is a really good way to spend 15 minutes, and sometimes it ended up being the highlight of my day.
Well, yeah, you do kind of feel a little bit better afterwards.
I don't know about highlight of the day, but it definitely improves the mood.
Yeah, you feel that my highlight of the day is when Jim dies.
A woman said that she felt justified masturbating at the office after watching The Wolf of Wall Street, in which Matthew McConaughey's stockbroker character claims he masturbates daily after lunch.
Okay. By the way, I do have to say, if anyone wants to be a guest on the show, don't masturbate during the show. We don't want to hear it.
Unless you're hot,
Okay, unless you're hot,
by
which
our
not
standards.
and female.
Mhm.
Yeah, so yes.
Because usually when we get a chick on here, she's even attracted to females. So, hey, you know,
Oh fuck! Most of them have amazing giggles.
yeah.
I,
But
I
another
I
one,
notice. But of course, this show. I mean, our voices probably get all women who watch the show extremely,
vomitous and revolted.
yeah. we we turn women into lesbians.
Exactly, every day.
Meant for good after the just.
But another woman who said she masturbated as an act of rebellion issued a word of caution, not because of morals or propriety or whatever, but because masturbation isn't something you really want to do hastily at the same place you hate going to every day.
It's not something I can do hastily. It does
Actually,
feel like
that does sound like an act of rebellion. I hate this place. I don't want to come back here. I'm just going to rub one out.
here. This is the
Fine.
only way I can get pleasure.
Hmm.
By yeah. Although like I said, it takes me about 20 minutes. So.
And finally, this guy paints the sex he allegedly has with aliens.
Just when I think we couldn't get any worse, you surprise me.
Losing your virginity is supposed to be memorable. Most people look back on the act with affection and probably a little embarrassment. hmm In space,
Are,
no
are,
one
are
can hear
you
you
embarrassed
scream.
about having sex with aliens, Jim?
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Bathtub in
I know that as
space,
a fact.
bathtub in space. Once you get in, what a difference it'll make.
Mm. But David Huggins says the first time he had sex was more out of this world than most. When I was 17, I lost my virginity to a female extraterrestrial. Apparently, they fucking flooded their gene pool and are now desperate for anyone. The
Apparently, the
74-year-old says in a documentary about him called Love and Saucers.
apparently extraterrestrials are male and female rather than being, some weird thing that we can't comprehend.
Yes. The coitus in question allegedly went down in 1961 when Huggins was a teenager living on his parents' farm in rural Georgia. It wasn't the first time extraterrestrials had appeared to him. He'd been seeing strange creatures since he was 8. But on this day, he was walking through the woods near his house. An alien woman appeared to him and seduced him. I thought, if anything, I'd be losing it in the back seat of a Ford, something like that. But it didn't work out that
It
way.
sounds like an interesting MCP, except the woman would be the one seduced by an alien who then gets her to plan a revolution for her.
According to Higgins, these visits from extraterrestrials and his sexual relationship with them continued into adulthood. When I interviewed him for this story, Huggins told me his last encounter with Crescent, his name for the woman in the woods, was 6 months ago.
I have no words, actually. I don't know what to say about this.
She's one dedicated ET, or maybe you just can't tell one apart from the other. And they just keep using him as sperm donor because it helps their genetics somehow. I don't know.
That sounds
I was
completely
sitting
strange.
down in a chair, and the woman, Crescent, was behind me, and she put her arms around me. And that's about it. I don't know anything else outside of that.
Oh God, why
Huggins
me?
is unnervingly matter of fact when he talks about his encounters. It sets him apart from what most of us expect from truthers and UFO enthusiasts. He's not in it for the notoriety and doesn't care if anyone believes him. When Huggins talks about fathering hundreds of alien babies, and yes, there's another facet to his encounters. Dun dun dun.
Okay.
He sounds about as even keeled as a farmer explaining crop rotations. It's one of those things that drew filmmaker Brad Abrams to track Huggins down in Hoboken, New Jersey. Oh, I gotta move to Hoboken then. Okay. Where he
Alternate.
lives now. Abrams heard Huggins' story on a podcast about UFOs and the paranormal. In a sea of outlandish claims, there was one that rose to the surface, he said, and that was David's story.
That was David's story.
Huggins was born in rural Georgia in 1944. In Love and Saucers, he talks about hunting for arrowheads in nearby fields for fun and not liking the evangelical Baptist church his grandparents took him to sometimes.
Yeah, well, fuck evangelicals.
When strange beings that no one else could see started appearing to him around the farm, he thought he was losing his mind.
Uh, it's called it's called Cthulhu, man.
I'm sitting there under a tree and I hear this voice say, David, behind you. And I turned around, there was this little hairy guy with a large glowing eyes coming straight towards me. I thought it was the boogeyman. I didn't know what to think of it. He says in the film, another day, an insect-like being that reminded him Huggins of a praying mantis appeared. I was very terrified. It was like, what in the world am I looking at? And for an 8-year-old, you don't know what to think.
And the praying mantis said, "You are the chosen one. Now take off your pants."
Hmm. Hmm. Once the shock wore off, Huggins says his encounters were weird, but not all that threatening. When he left Georgia in the mid 1960s for art school in New York City, the beings followed. Nocturnal visits from Crescent, the ET who deflowered him, became routine. My relationship with Crescent was warm and friendly, a little strange. What do I mean? A little? Very strange. She was my girlfriend, really, Huggins says in the film. A very unconventional relationship, he adds.
Yeah. Well, this guy sounds like a completely sane and person.
One of the first paintings Huggins ever made was of him and Crescent having sex. The painting's not really that all that good. She was on top of me. I reached my climax, and then and then she and the insect being leave. And similar paintings fill his apartment. They're surreal and a little childlike, dominated by deep blues and greens.
So
This
he,
reminds me of the dreams I had where I fucked some sort of reptilian that had to wear a strange suit because contact with humans in certain ways was bad, but the semen was okay.
so he would ejaculate. She, thank you. Come again.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's another thing that sets Huggins apart from most people with alien abduction stories. He paints his encounters. It started in 1987 when Huggins started remembering details from early visits. He says the deluge was triggered by Bud Hopkins' book Intruders, the incredible visitations at Copley Woods. It was like a compulsion. I was like being led to the book, says in the film. There's this one chapter, other women, other men. And I started reading it and I go, oh my God, this is the woman I never told anyone about.
Okay.
As I was reading it, memory upon memory came flooding back to me. It was image upon image. They wouldn't stop. I think what bothered me the most is that I didn't know what to do with it. I was so scared.
Yeah. Just when I think we can't get any weirder, you bring up articles like this.
I know. I have to go straight to the bottom. It seemed like he was almost going crazy from not being able to process these experiences that happened to him. What were they? Why him? It really sounded like he was losing his grip on his life and reality, Abrams told me. And then apparently he got a strange message from the beings that he should paint the experiences, and as soon as he started doing that, it changed him.
Okay. Paint our God.
Paint God. He
But
said it was a release. He was able to sleep for the first time in weeks, and since then, he has painted every single detail of every encounter. 100 something paintings. It is art therapy. I don't know if that's how David would describe it, but that was the big part of what I wanted to show, too. Once he found a way to show the rest of the world, or even just himself, what happened visually through art, he was able to process, make sense of, and come to peace with whatever it was that happened to him. Ooh,
that
that's
makes
an
sense.
interesting picture. It looks like an alien gangbang about to happen. Come on, we all need that seed.
I've read many MCPs about aliens. So
What makes
yes.
Love and Saucers a very good documentary about a man who paints himself having sex with aliens is that Abrams lays out in detail of Huggins' story and lets viewers come to their own conclusions. At its core, Love and Saucers is a film about belief. The first half is Huggins telling his own story, but the second half is interviews with his friends and neighbors. Some of them weren't aware of Huggins' encounters beforehand, but they all believe him.
Yeah, of course they believe. Yes, of course you have sex with aliens. Yes, and here's a talking oven mitt.
I am a hobo king.
Or the Hobo King.
The murder hobo.
Murder Hobo. I know what that's from.
Then there is Jeffrey Kripal, a professor of philosophy and religious thought at Rice University in Texas. He spent the early part of his career studying erotic mysticism, which led him to study alien abduction literature. The whole history of religions is essentially about weird beings coming from the sky and doing strange things to human beings. And historically, those events or encounters have been framed as angels or demons or gods or goddesses or what have you. But in the
Yeah.
modern, sort of secular we live in, they
Yes.
get framed as science fiction.
Yes. This reminds me of many stories I've read, actually.
Kripal said believes Higgins. He says the mix of terror and euphoria Higgins describes lines up with age-old descriptions of human encountering the sacred. Plus, details of Higgins' abductions mirror those described by other people Kripal has interviewed who believe they had supernatural experiences. I'm completely convinced they're not lying. They're being very sincere. But again, what is entirely a different question. And that's
Uh,
where I think we need a lot of more humility.
well, if you think you're having sex with an alien right now, leave a comment.
Yes, I would like to hear this story, see if it matches up with the dreams I had, which may not actually be dreams according to this article.
Or the fantasies I've had, but they usually involve mind control, so.
Whether or not you think Higgins has really been having sex with aliens for the past 50 years, what's apparent is that Higgins himself believes it. Consider that this man isn't lying and that he's communicating something that he's experienced,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
doesn't have to be taken literally.
Yeah,
Someone cannot be crazy, but still claim to have these completely unexplainable experiences, Abrams said.
well, yeah, he's not lying. He's just wacko. I mean,
Or
whatever.
maybe they are happening and it's fucking awesome and we're repopulating alien worlds with human hybrid
Where
babies.
are they, and why don't they come over here? I want to interview one.
I would gladly fuck one, yes.
Yeah.
What I think is far more fascinating than whether or not the truth is out there is what stories like Higgins say about the impulse to explain away what we do not understand and our limited ability to interpret all the sensations, experiences, and randomly firing neurons that come with being human.
Science did it.
Why I asked Higgins why he thinks the beings appeared to him, he said, I have a feeling that tens of millions of people, perhaps hundreds of millions, have had similar experiences, mainly as children. That's why I can all I can really say, but I think as children, we are so open to things that these things can appear to us. I know I never closed up on it because it has continued throughout my whole life.
If you are an ex-girlfriend of mine and you happen to be secretly an alien, now's a good time to tell me.
Yes, it's an excellent time to tell us all.
Yes, it is.
Uh, and
Yeah.
that's the stories we got.
Ugh, I don't want to get up. Fuck. All right, all right. I have to be unlazy now? What?
Mhm.
This has been the Swine Brothers Show, episode 167, the Alien Invasion Hate Crime Special for February 26th, 2019. Enjoy the two shows in one day. Knowing us, we'll do our next show in December. You can get in contact with us at cosmicgodsdie at gmail.com for those alien girls. Facebook is Swine Brothers and Twitter Swine Bros 666. For the Jim, who is unfit to repopulate the alien race, and for I am Elliot and I am fit. We'll see you next time, interstellar space travelers.
You're like a toiletry. You keep things simple yet classy and tampons.